So I figure I'll start you off with something you might be able to use. We'll see where our conversation goes, but may as well start off strong, right? So I told you, like, Amy and I started, like, doing, like, a little bit of Pokemon card collecting because it's something we're both into.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know? And something we can do together is, like, that kind of thing. And we decided, after, like, the first time we sat down and opened a bunch of packs of Pokemon cards, we wanted to have, like, unique, or maybe multiple in the future. We only have one right now. Unique category of cards that we collect just for us. Not because they're valuable, but because we want to do it. The example in this case is the one that we started. Pokemon that look like they're pooping. And we have about 20 or so now that we have found that look like they're pooping. I'm going to share them with you.
Oh, dear God.
Okay.
Wait, did you put them in a photo album and like a pooping page?
Well, no, it's like a card collecting thing.
Up the pooping page.
Yeah, well, we have pages of poopers. You know, you got to have poopers. I'm trying to find. I don't want to show you all of them, but we have several examples. Hold on, let me see if I can. That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
He's got that face like
he's really pushing one out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's having a go at it.
Is his power ability big push? Did I read that right?
Slap push. Push. Not a big push. That would be amazing.
That would be so, like, on point.
We have about 20 of them so far, ish, of pooping Pokemon. And I hope someday to have, like, a binder full of just cracking up laughing at Pokemon that are pooping. Like, in the future, 20, 30 years from now, just open it back up and be like, this Pokemon's taking a shit.
I mean, if that's not already an Instagram account, I think it should be.
Yeah, you should start that, Mike.
That's a good idea. I'll look into it. I'll see if it's an account. If it's not, pooping Pokemon will be a new account that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the longevity is there, but
I mean, you can watch all the Pokemon animes and see if there's any episodes where it looks like they're taking.
You have to find all the specific screenshots and frames.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean,
there's a lot to digest when it comes to Pokemon. So
I have watched all of the animes for Pokemon, but I did not watch them with an eye for poopers.
See, rewatch. There you
go. Watching it and being like, "There's one."
Yeah, you always notice more on the second time around, right?
I mean, it'd be the first time looking for it, so
Yeah.
Every time you're watching it, at different points, you turn into the Leo DiCaprio meme of like him pointing.
That's a viable Instagram. People would follow the shit out of that if it doesn't exist already.
I see what you did there. Follow the shit.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bright Guy and Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick, and I'm just kind of hoping I remember how to do this because it's been so long. Joining me for this episode is everyone's favorite pirate Jedi, Andy Stoles.
What's up, podcast people?
Andy's taking up the new title as Pokemon Jedi, Mike Bradley.
I feel like you just gave me a new idea for a tattoo.
There you go.
Darth Pikachu.
I don't really know what that entails. Like, I don't know if you would be a Pokemon who is a Jedi, or if you're a Jedi who collects Pokemon, or if there's Pokemon Jedi, and I don't know what the...
I'm going full dark side. Pikachu shooting out force lightning.
Not Pikachu. You should do a Darth Jengar versus like a Luke.
I already have Gengar tattooed on me.
Okay.
All right. Well,
so, I don't disagree.
Start making some rough drawings. You can spitball that and run with it.
Yeah. There's lots there.
All right. So a little bit of, I guess, like housekeeping stuff up front. So this is first time I've done one of these in probably 3 months, so I know the episodes have been few and far between. So not speaking for the other guys on the show, just me personally. It's been a little bit of a struggle just trying to want to do this between scheduling, time and effort to prep, edit, all that stuff. flat out motivation mostly. Josh and Mike were nice enough to carry the torch last time. So again, thank you guys for doing that episode. But just for anybody else listening, sorry for the sporadic uploads of the episodes. They have been few and far between. I don't know if that's going to change at all. They will probably still be sporadic. I'd love to say, yeah, we can get back to like every other week. I don't know if that'll happen. Well, I'll be lucky if we do one once a month, probably. So it's not, I don't want to make it sound like this is the end of the show, because it's still going to be here. It's just going to be here kind of whenever I feel like doing it, which right now I don't have a set time for when this is going to happen. Just when stuff comes up and we feel like talking about it and there's something good to talk about, I will try to do one. I feel like a little bit nervous even about getting to 300. Like that milestone for me is very, I don't know, daunting maybe. Like I've been doing this for 7 years and yet that number is like, what the fuck have I been doing with this for 7 years? But so yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. So I don't want to, if you've been missing the show, I apologize. We will get to it when we can or when I can. But this is also not the end. I don't want to do the doom and gloom of this show is never coming back. Well, it'll be here. I don't want to close it down for good, but like I said, it probably just won't be the 2 week or weekly like we used to do. It'll be random and hopefully it'll a little surprise when it drops in your inbox or subscription feed.
And worry not, folks. The top 10 lists for the year will still happen.
Those are definite. I have to
strap Brian in the into the seat myself. That's still happening.
Those are, for whatever reason, those episodes are ones that I don't ever not want to do. Like they're fun. The top 10s I had, they're some of my favorite ones to do. So I cannot say no to the top 10s. So the favorites and anticipated are definitely coming. If it happens that one of those is number 300, I guess we'll see what we want to do with one of those that's different. I mean, the last one we did for I think 250 was one of the countdowns, right? And that was like the 4-hour one that we did on Twitch, I think, which never again will we do a 4-hour podcast on Twitch. that was a lesson learned for that. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what we kind of spitball, but I think we're at like, I think this is 290. I got to look at my count. 294, I think, for this one. So we're steadily approaching. If we're doing them once a month, then we will probably get to the top 10s before we get to 300. So we might have to find something different before or after those for 300. But either way, we'll see what the timing of it. If we get a little bit more out before then, like I said, the timing might just happen that 300 is one of those, but we'll see. Either way.
And I'll throw it out there for you right now. My number one is going to be really hard to unseed, and I never saw it coming as my number one. I fell in love with a movie from this year so much that I did not see myself liking as much as I did. And was not in my anticipated list. If you try and guess at it, that's the only thing you would get is that it's not one of those 10.
Okay.
And it is a firm number one right now, unless something in the last few months can.
Andy, how have you been doing on movies? I know you're usually behind the 8 ball. I think when we get to those top 10s, you're struggling to get to 10 movies seen in the year.
Not well this year. Not well.
You got 2 months, buddy. Kick it into gear.
We were doing pretty well, and then we just a lot of hills and valleys. Like we watch a lot, and then we watch very little, and then we watch a lot, and then we watch very little. So
it's kind of, now I'm like thinking to myself, what has Andy seen this year? Mission Impossible. That's it. It's been nothing but Mission Impossible all year.
No, it's been more than just that. But
I'll host a movie night at my house instead of a game night. We'll just catch you up on like 6 of them.
A marathon it.
Once.
Was Mario this year?
Yes.
Mario was March or April.
Okay, yeah, I've at least
You've got 2.
5.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, you got 5 to go, and you got 2.5 months. Good luck.
You could do that. I have faith in you.
A lot of them are on streaming services.
That's the
how
thing.
I wound
Like
up
a lot
seeing
of them, I can watch streaming. So
yeah,
my number one, I did a free trial of a streaming service to watch the first time, and then I immediately bought it.
Oh well.
Okay.
So
I thought I saw something that Spider-Verse is coming to Netflix sometime soon, like in the next couple weeks. I should have.
Oh really?
I should have like locked away the date.
Probably coinciding with their new price increase.
Yeah, it could be. I think it's near the end of the month because I think the tweet said something about, or the post, whatever the hell I saw, it was something about like coinciding with Halloween. So I think it's at the end of October.
Oh, okay.
So keep an eye out for that. And if you haven't seen that one, it should be on Netflix by the end of the month, hopefully. So that'll be one to catch up on.
Where do Sony movies usually end up on stream?
Netflix first.
They go to Netflix.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
I
made
was
that
gonna say,
deal a
'cause they
couple
really
years
don't
ago.
have their own service.
Right.
They're one of the only ones, it seems like, doesn't have their own.
Yeah, that was I honestly think that was something we talked about on the show way back when they made the deal, was that it goes to Netflix first for a specific window. Or no, it goes to like paid sites, like I think like Showtime and stuff first, like one of those, and then eventually goes
like,
to Netflix.
Yep.
Netflix is paid.
Yeah.
No, he means like premium cable.
Yes,
gotcha.
correct. Yes.
Like Showtime, HBO, Cinemax, Stars.
Yeah, streaming services are all
Others
kind of in their
those.
own realm. One thing I'm going to plug for myself, maybe. Speaking of Spider-Man, I've decided I'm going to play through Spider-Man 2 on Twitch. So if anybody would like to watch
nice.
that, with the time of this recording, it comes out tomorrow. I'm hoping tomorrow afternoon I can start playing and put in an hour or two. Hopefully sink in some other time over the weekend. So by the time this episode comes out, there will probably be a couple of VODs already out on my Twitch page. Jedi Bry Guy on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Jedi Bry Guy. Follow me. If you're listening to this, you can hopefully catch up to the VODs that are there. Catch me whenever I start streaming later. I'll see if I can chip away during the week a little bit, but the chunks of it will probably be on the weekend. If it's as good as it's being hyped to be, I will probably be trying to play it almost every night if I can. So at least for an hour. So we'll see what we get through. So yeah, just heads up for that if you're interested. Anybody else have anything to plug up top?
It's well out into the future for me, but my next stream, I don't know when it's going to happen specifically. I may stream before this, what I'm plugging for, but I feel like this year has been one of the best years in recent memory for gaming in terms of the really high quality games that have come out. I feel like there's at least 7 or 8 quality contenders for Game of the Year this year.
Yeah.
And the last few years, I feel like it's been 1 or 2 that were like in that stratosphere. You know, this year you've had Baldur's Gate. You've had a new Zelda game. You had Final Fantasy 16. You have Spider-Man coming out. You have... The list could... I can keep going. I'm not going to. The plug is, I will be co-streaming the Game Awards again for the first time in the last couple years over at Rare Achievements on Twitch.
That's December, right?
Yeah, it's usually the like end of the first week or beginning of the second week of December.
Okay.
Like I think last year was December 8th. I haven't looked up what date it is this year. I don't know if they've released that yet or not.
I want to say December 7th. I don't know if I'm right, but that's the date that's popping in my head.
If that's what's happening, that's what's happening. And maybe, I think, did we co-stream that one time, Brian?
I
feel like we did.
I feel like we did. I
Well,
don't
I would
remember what
welcome you to
channel
do it
or when
again
we
if
did
you'd
it,
like.
but yeah, sounds vaguely. It feels vaguely familiar, like we did do it.
Well, if you'd like to give it another go, you're welcome to join me that night and commentate on it. And we'll have some fun checking out the Game Awards. I'm really interested to see. I think Baldur's Gate, hands down, has the music awards locked up this year. There's so many good songs in that game that are genuinely, at least when it launched, topping Spotify charts a little bit for a short period.
Okay.
So I think that's one of the ones I would expect to see win there. But other than that, man, it's a toss-up. There's so much good that came out this year, and it's not that it's like, oh man, it's a tight race because nothing good came out, which I feel like it's happened many years.
Yeah.
This year, it's like, if you move these games around to different years, they each could win on their own.
Yeah, every month
So
there's something dropping
it's a shame
that's
that
real,
only one can win.
real huge.
What's that?
I said every month there's something dropping that's real huge.
Yeah, I mean, Starfield last month. I don't know if that's up for Game of the Year or not. I haven't played enough of it yet to know.
Yeah.
I barely started it, which I need to do more with, but still.
Andy,
looking forward to that. That's going to be fun.
anything to plug? What do you got going on?
So, still working on a game with my buddy Kevin at Melted Monster Games Studio. The game's called Dreeg. Getting pretty close to getting the first level playable demo going.
Oh, there you go.
Just got some tracks from his buddy for original game music.
Nice.
So that's pretty exciting. Got a lot done with the first boss encounter, which is pretty exciting as well. It's Melted Monster videogames.com, I think.
I was gonna say, get the plug right. Don't screw up your own plug.
Yeah, and you can sign up to be one of the first people to play the demo. So I was actually hoping to get my friends that do video game streaming, you two.
I was just gonna offer.
Yeah, to.
I was just gonna say you'll be able to catch this on my stream whenever it does come.
Yeah, I was
up.
hoping that you would be able to, either one of you, both of you, would be able to, stream it. It's probably not going to be on consoles at first, but
Okay.
like
we both have PCs we can play
Steam would be.
Yeah, mine's not, I guess, built for gaming, but I don't know how taxing I guess that game would be.
And well, it works on my laptop, so.
Okay, fair enough. Should be okay.
So yes, it'll work on your PC.
Should be
I
all
should- I
right.
should be
I'm
okay. I
assuming
should be
yours
okay.
is a little bit more technologically advanced than mine. So
Okay. All right, yeah, keep us in the loop.
Yeah, absolutely. When that happens, I will stream it and I will promote it to my 40 followers or so. I will get the word out to them and hopefully draw in some attention for you.
thank you. That's
But,
appreciated.
Yeah.
I'll put it out there as much as I can.
I think it's really fun. So
What type of game is it for the audience?
it is a Metroidvania 2D style platformer.
Okay. I feel like I've
So
seen
the most similar title out now today would be something like Bloodstained, maybe, or
Yeah.
Blasphemous.
I've never played Blasphemous, so yeah, I would say
Or
like
Metroid Dread, maybe. I guess is another new one.
Metroid would probably be pretty similar. I would say, yeah.
I think some of
And
the
is there like a
few times
Go
that
ahead.
I've been on Facebook, haven't you've been putting like gameplay stuff up or sharing stuff
little
from
bit,
the
yep.
game, right?
Yeah,
It's like very neon looking.
yeah, it's very neon looking.
Okay.
and there's the mechanic is really, in my opinion, kind of unique for that style of game. So
Okay.
and is it sci-fi setting, fantasy setting? What
sci-fi,
are you looking
yeah,
at?
sci-fi.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, keep an eye
Excellent.
out for it. We'll try to promote that and keep you guys in the loop for anybody listening. I'll try to share some links, I guess, if I don't remember if I did that before, but I'll have to make sure Andy's link is correct, and I can try to share that in the details for the episode.
Can't share it enough. You can always share it again. Doesn't hurt.
All right, so we are here back again due to popular demand to talk about Ahsoka, and by quote unquote popular demand, I mean one of our 15 to 20 listeners asked if we were going to talk about this. So shout out to Jason for making this one happen.
To be fair, I was bugging you about talking about it, whether it was a show or not. I wanted to discuss it.
True. But we've done this show together before. I will listen to the listeners over us. Give us that sweet feedback.
Absolutely.
So, Ahsoka is, the latest Star Wars series to hit Disney Plus, basically functions as a sequel series to Clone Wars and Rebels. Both of those animated series were led by Pittsburgh's own Dave Filoni. Dave worked with George Lucas for Clone Wars. I'm unsure of how much of a hand George had in Rebels, or if that was all Dave. I don't really remember that one. But Dave,
Wasn't George Lucas gone by the time Rebels was going?
he might have been. That might have been I think that was a Disney property at that point. So I think George was out of the picture.
It was on Disney XD, wasn't
That's
it?
true. Yeah. So it might have been around that time. Dave has definitely become one of the face of the franchise due to his knowledge, creative vision for Star Wars and where they've been taking it. Him and Jon Favreau have been putting out or producing Star Wars series on Disney Plus. They did Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. I think they produced for Andor. Obi-Wan, I think they might have produced for as well. Ahsoka, they're heavily involved in because Dave wrote and directed some of the episodes. So all that stuff. It was announced back in April, Star Wars Celebration, that Dave Filoni will be making a Star Wars movie that's meant to tie together all the Disney Plus shows currently out that takes place during the post-Return of the Jedi time period. So that means Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka are those three series.
It's not going to tie in Andor?
No, because Andor is pre-Star Wars. Like the first movie.
It's just the way you said it at first. It was
Yeah, sorry, I meant
all
like
the series.
currently out in the post-Return of the Jedi era. It's a confusing sentence, I guess, maybe the way I said that.
I just didn't know if there was going to be, they may have tried to tie in some of the characters that would still be around from Andor.
Yeah, not that I...
Like have them
yeah, I guess that remains to be seen, but I took it as Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, since those all three have already sort of crossed over with each other and take place in the same time period, that's the big one.
Right.
Those are the big ones.
Yep.
We don't have a lot of official details other than that, but just guessing from what series are crossing over and storylines and characters, that it could probably be some sort of Avengers style team up crossover movie for that. I don't think there's a release date from what I've seen, so to me, it's still a little unclear what comes next. Like for Mandalorian, I feel like it kind of wrapped up at the end of season 3. Boba Fett had I don't know, good enough ending. I don't know if they're doing season 2. Ahsoka.
I feel like Mandalorian's wrapped up.
It had a very nice bow at the end of season 3. I feel like you could, if you wanted to be done with that series where it is, you could.
Well, I sure hope not.
I hope not also, but I feel like I feel like the way Mandalorian ended, they're just sitting around waiting for some other shit to happen to then be propelled into another story. Book of Boba Fett also kind of just, for the most part, wrapped up, and, maybe some other shit happens and they get pulled into it. Ahsoka, which we can talk about, really doesn't end. So I don't know what's going to happen. And to me, I don't know if that means we're going to get season 2 of Ahsoka before whatever this movie is, or if the movie is meant to take place next and tie up a lot of these story threads and stuff that's just kind of left hanging, which I would not prefer, because I think there's way too much left open that we definitely need season 2 to continue this stuff until we get to set up for the movie. But we can get into those specifics when we talk about the show. And I know we do want to get into the specifics. I'm already terrified that this is going to be a 3-hour Star Wars podcast. But typically how we do our reviews and thoughts like this, we start with the general stuff first. So let's start with some general conversations. Andy, I'm going to start with you only because I think you're sort of in a difficult spot with this. And I know we've talked about it before, and we were even talking about it a little bit before we started recording. You watched most of Clone Wars. You said through
all but the season that was sort of
the Netflix one, season 7,
so
right?
the one that came out much later than all the meatiness did.
And Rebels, you got through season 2?
Yeah,
you're halfway through.
Season 2 is the one where you finally do get to see Ahsoka, and she fights Vader under the temple.
So you got halfway through that series.
Yes.
So coming into Ahsoka with everything that has happened and the characters that you see, were you lost with this? Like, did you feel like this spoiled some stuff for you, or were you okay with?
It certainly spoiled some stuff for me. I was okay with it. Honestly, the thing that it made me want to do the most was watch the rest of Rebels.
All right, so that was gonna be my follow-up question.
It sort of put a burning desire to be like, okay, I'd really like to watch the stuff I had already seen again, and then continue past that to finish Rebels. So
would this kind of make you want to rewatch it all, like go back through Clone Wars, Rebels, and then watch Ahsoka again? Or are you just going to pick apart the stuff you didn't get to?
Sort of. When I watched Clone Wars, I watched it with the StarWars.com
chronology. The right way to watch it.
The right way to watch it. And it was such a pain in the ass because every time an episode ended, you had to like hurry up and hit stop so that you could go to the next episode, because it would always try to fucking autoplay the wrong episode next. Say for like, I don't know, 12 episodes or something stupid. But
did Disney Plus institute a thing?
I was just gonna ask. I feel
they
like
never have, as far as I know.
Oh, I thought they did.
I know they did for the MCU, but
I thought
I guess they didn't for Clone Wars.
I could have sworn.
For Clone Wars, are you talking about like a chronological viewing order of that series?
I thought they did.
Yeah.
If they did, I completely am oblivious to it.
Okay. Because that would be
going to try to look that up as you're talking.
A lot easier. Because I've talked to people that watched it as it aired, and there are so many questions just because it bounces around a lot. Even if you watch it chronologically, it bounces around a little bit. Like some of the connective tissue is a little like I don't know, off maybe, just because I feel like when they revisit that story, it's not quite so smooth.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the Disney Plus page now, and you can see they have a section that's Star Wars in timeline order, but it's just giving you the movies, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and then the Clone Wars animated series, and then Revenge of the Sith. So it's in the right spot, but the episodes, I don't think you have the option to watch in chronological order.
I thought you could click on the actual show and then choose watch order. but maybe that was just me. Like, that would be awesome.
I'm looking at it now. It gives you episode numbers. So you can go by the seasons and pick the episodes. It has suggested, which is just other series that are similar. Extras is one trailer. Details is information about the show.
Boo!
There is nothing that's... and we've talked about this for years. It makes no sense why you would put that fucking list up on your website and then force people to look at the website every time they are done with an episode. You have the capability to just fucking put the list in there as it's intended and watch it that way.
Just
It couldn't really be that hard to do that. It's just a playlist.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not like complicated. It's a playlist.
So yeah, Disney Plus has not gotten smart enough to do that yet. I'm sorry, Andy.
Boo.
All right, well that's good. I was wondering how this show was gonna, if you were just gonna be like, what the fuck, man? I don't understand what's going on. None of these characters, I kind of half remember them and all that kind of crap. But
You just sort of jump on the bandwagon, I would say, for the most part.
Okay.
You know, strap yourself in and just sort of ride along, and then eventually you sort of like, you make some assumptions as to what did transpire, but it would still be really nice to like go back and watch and figure that out.
Yeah.
So
okay. All right, so just general thoughts then about the series. Just some bullet point, what you liked it, what you didn't like, general spoiler free. Mike, what do you got?
Oh, I'm starting this. All right.
We'll ping pong a little bit here.
That's fair. I don't know if I expressed it to you guys in Discord or not. My biggest issue with the series is just more of the same issue I have with pretty much every Disney Plus series these days. Is it feels like a trailer for season 2 or whatever is to come next, more than it feels like a complete story of its own.
okay.
This doesn't feel like a complete story to me. It feels like the first half of a season of Rebels.
Yeah.
And where's the second half? Oh, you have to wait 2 years for it, or whatever the hell we have to wait to get the next part of it. And it's just more, I feel like it's a thing that not just Disney's doing, but a lot of streaming services and television is doing now, where they just string you along very hard, stringing along to keep you watching, as opposed to giving you a complete story. And I hate that.
Yep.
Fair.
Subscription dollars.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they lost my subscription by doubling the price almost. And I'll just deal with that when the time comes to watch for 1 month full of just everything I missed and then unsubscribe again. But as far as the rest of it in the stories that they did tell, I felt like they were all good. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the characters, it's not really spoilery to say, Baylan Skoll is my new favorite Star Wars character. Ray Stevenson, rest in peace. They better replace you with somebody that is worthy of the role, because you fucking killed it.
He
man.
really, really did.
I think it's the one takeaway that I think has been universal in like everything that I've seen. That's the character everybody seems to come out of there talking about.
You want to know what happens. Like, you want to know what his actual goal is, because he only ever really hints at it.
Yeah.
So you want to see him realize his goal, or die trying.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't actually recall her name, but his apprentice,
Shin,
in the show, Shin, kind of gave off a little bit of like potential Mara Jade vibes for me.
Okay.
Possibly not as Mara Jade, but as a potential representation of that character in the universe that we have now.
I didn't think about that, but I guess I could kind of see it.
I mean, it's not 1-to-1, obviously. This is not Mara Jade. One, it's not a redhead, so it's not fucking Mara Jade.
Yeah, I'm already checked out.
Well, I'm not checked out. But I'm just saying, thematically and character progression-wise, I could see that kind of arc happening. That was very cool. Ahsoka, you guys know listeners, you may not know, Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars character. The only one to be adorned on my skin. Um, and for a very real purpose. And I feel like they gave her enough to do, but also not enough to do. I feel like she played more of a role in the series helping other characters develop than she did develop more herself. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of change for Ahsoka or arc. I feel like she was Ahsoka that we know the whole time. I don't feel like there was, personally, I know there's a scene that you're thinking of right now. I can see it on your face, and I don't feel like it changed her.
There's about halfway through the episode, I feel like she does take a little bit of a turn. Like I think progresses her arc, which we can get into, but that's...
I feel like it was a predictable change, though. I feel like
Probably,
it was
yeah.
well within her character to make the choices she makes 100% of the time, and I don't feel like they challenged her stance as a character at any point.
Okay.
In any meaningful way, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Without talking spoilers, I can't really defend that entirely yet. I will later. A lot of guest appearances that I won't get into until we talk about spoilers. Fantastic. Loved it. The casting in live action for some of the characters from Rebels that appear. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can we mention some of them?
I'm just gonna assume that someone listening to this just hasn't, you always. My impression is that I always assume someone listening maybe hasn't watched the show and they're looking for us to tell them whether they should watch the show. So if you're thinking this is a spoiler or not, let's just say it is and don't say it.
I was just referring to they were in trailers. I'm not talking about a specific character. I'm talking.
I'd still assume not everybody watches all the trailers, but that's me.
Okay, so I feel like some of the characters that return did not get as much to do as they should have.
Okay.
And that disappointed me. But yeah, all around, I was very pleased with the stories they told. I was just not quite so pleased with the corporate monetization structure of the storytelling that they chose to let in.
Okay. Andy, general thoughts, like it, don't like it, what do you think?
I really did enjoy it. I thought it had a lot of world building associated with it, and the continuity between that and Rebels I feel like is pretty high, and it made me think that I was watching live action Rebels for quite a while there, between Hera and some of the other characters. It really puts you in that mood where you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like a very cool show is like live action now.
Yeah.
So
that's who I was going to mention, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Didn't have enough to do. Was Hera. But I mean, he already put it out there, so I'm just chiming in.
Yeah.
So, she didn't get enough to do. They need to give Hera more to do.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
I enjoyed each episode had one very good action scene, I feel, with lightsabers or the Force or some sort of battle that was exciting. They had an exciting moment in each of the episodes. I was a little, I wouldn't say irritated, more wonder why they ended it here. It seemed anticlimactic at the end to me.
Yeah, it almost felt like you could have had it.
Watch season 2.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it felt like you could have had 2 or 3 more episodes and still, wrapped up the season a little bit better. But
right, yeah, they could have leaned less into some things and more into others, in my opinion.
Okay.
But as far as performances, Mike already mentioned it. Baylan Skoll, awesome. I want more of that, even though we can't get it. It really stinks. We're gonna miss Rey. I feel like Rosario did an excellent job portraying Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
She only had a few cameos in The Mandalorian, so it's nice to see her get the spotlight for 8 episodes, I think it was.
Yes.
For the most,
yeah, it was 8-episode show
for the most part. So the cameos were fun. I thought they were done well. Overall, it wasn't my favorite Star Wars show so far, but it did well.
Okay.
I would point out I was very glad that they improved upon her Leiku from
Oh yeah.
the previous
Yeah.
appearances. They looked very paper mache when she was in The Mandalorian, and it looked natural this time. That was one of my concerns coming into the show, was it was going to pull me out of it, where it's like, why does it look like that?
Yeah.
And they fixed it, and that's good. They took feedback, I think, on that, and they were like, we got to make that look better.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they did.
Yeah, I like the show a lot too. I think even just like the spectacle of it was really cool. Like visually, there's some really awesome fucking stuff in this show.
It really is, yeah.
I think some of the space battle stuff that they've done with some of the ships and stuff was like some of the best we've seen in any of these Star Wars series. Just yeah, like visually, there's so many cinematic looking shots or settings and stuff. Even like every planet they visit, I thought was just really cool and just felt like they were building out Star Wars, which is weird to say they can still do considering all the Star Wars content we have now, but it still feels like they're world building the Star Wars universe. But I think this show above some of the other ones, like where Mandalorian got to a point where it was just like, hey, you remember this thing? Hey, you remember this other planet? Remember this thing from before? Like it's, it's OG stuff, right? This one felt like it's taking characters and putting them in other planets and situations in different places that are new, and it felt fresh. And that's the stuff that I want from Star Wars series. Like that's cool to me.
And I think
good.
To add on to that, I think it did that for both folks like us who have watched pretty much every piece of Star Wars content that's ever been made, and we're familiar. It took us to places we had seen only in animated previously, and it took us to completely new places. So it offered completely new places for us, in addition to people that don't watch any of the other content beyond the core movies.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
we're not
that
just
to me was really good.
We're not just back on Tatooine again. Like, granted, seeing Lothal, it's like, okay, I know Lothal from Rebels and stuff, but seeing it a completely different way in live action still felt fresh and new to me. There was still the nostalgia of, wow, I know this place, and yes, this is familiar. I know that I've seen this before, but just looking the way it did was like it still felt new and cool. I thought Rosario did good with Ahsoka and stuff, and there's still like some part of me that is still like I miss Ashley, and just not having the voice from Ashley still somehow separates the character for me, and they almost feel like two different versions. Like I can see the continuation from animation to live action and where all that fits, and it's still like I can follow that line, but there's still just it's in the back of my head just not eating at me, and I can't get over that yet.
Ashley is still Ahsoka.
Oh yeah,
but Rosario is making her case to also be Ahsoka,
and it's just
she's got time to do it.
I think I'm just too married to the animation style of Ahsoka that it's still.
I mean,
my problem is I'm not losing myself in the character. I'm looking at Ahsoka and I see Rosario Dawson. Like that's where it's getting stuck for me. I can't get all the way there where Ashley's version and maybe it's just because it's a voice, but I can much more get soaked into that character in animation. That's my problem. I'm hoping to get over that, but
I was just gonna say we have 12 seasons of time spent with the character having Ashley's voice.
Yeah.
So I think it's natural to have some adjustment to it not being there.
Yeah, and I think it's just like I will definitely rewatch this show again and again. So I think just with that repetition, I think it'll help me just get over my own, I don't know, qualms, I guess, about it. I don't know, but all the Rebels and Clone Wars stuff that happens, I geeked out about every single one. Like as I'm just saying, hey, it's kind of digging at the Mandalorian, saying, hey, remember this thing? Hey, remember this thing? Well, this did it with Rebel stuff, and I was all fucking for it. So maybe I'm a hypocrite now, but all the stuff that was animation brought into live action, that type of spin to it is just great. I was eating all that stuff up. I feel like the gist of it is I just want more of this show. 8 episodes was great, and it's more just the way they ended, like we've been talking about. It just kind of, it doesn't feel like a conclusion. It just feels like we're setting up for something to come next, and I just don't know when or what that next thing is, and I'm anxiously awaiting that, and please, God, give us some information.
So endings like that give me anxiety, because I've watched shows that have cliffhanger type endings, which I would say this sort of has.
Mhm.
You're waiting for some sort of clue as to what happens next. And stupid companies or corporations will Netflix it up and cancel the show, and you literally get nothing from that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I feel like Netflix is well known for
yeah,
that now.
and they're piss poor at it. Like they really don't think before they do something.
Yeah, I mean, at least tell a showrunner like, "Hey, we're gonna end this after this season, so maybe wrap it up." You know?
Yeah, and
Well,
and
this-
all the Disney Plus Marvel stuff coming to light makes me nervous, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't want to get bogged down in this other debate, but I feel like the Netflix model is, and we've talked about it before, is very much like box office movies, where it's like the opening weekend or the opening week, it's got to make all its money or it's considered a failure. Netflix does that all the time, where they release a season. If you do not binge the show completely in a week, maybe 2 weeks, if it doesn't see those numbers, it cancels the show within a month. It says you're done. You're not getting a second season. Same thing with movies. If they come out the opening weekend, if they don't do box office bangers that first weekend, they're out of theaters in 2 weeks. That's just the way it happens. They consider it a failure. They move on. The difference with the Disney Plus shows is they're released weekly. So you get an episode a week. So you're asking the audience to hang on. So you're not maybe relying on those binging type numbers, but the longevity of the weeks. Like if the viewership is slowly declining through 8 episodes, then that could be, I don't know if that's, they could see that as a loss and that's a bad show and then cancel it. So I don't know. With streaming services, it's very tough to see what the viewership is. There's not, as far as I know, a very good way to track that stuff. I tried looking a little bit before we recorded it. I didn't see anything really definitive to say whether this was viewed well or not. It seemed like it was getting mediocre. Like I vaguely saw one site that said the viewership continued to tank by the end of the series, and then one site said that it was getting better viewership than Andor, but not as good as The Mandalorian, and so it was fine. So I don't know where the consensus is for this. I think, and I'm hoping, Disney and Star Wars and Lucasfilm have invested enough time and effort to try to wrap this up with Dave's movie, that regardless of whether the season was good or bad, we are going to move forward with whatever they are trying to tell. So,
I mean, and that it's something I feel like we need from, Star Wars soon is a roadmap giving us definitive ideas of what comes next. Because this, feel like, was one of the last things we knew about for sure that was happening. And we don't have a definitive, this is what to expect next right now.
We do a little bit. We have
Do we?
Yeah, Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, Bad Batch 3.
those are series that are coming, but they're probably not, to Mike's point, I guess they're not really following this story.
Oh, you're talking
there will be other
specific
Star Wars content
gotcha.
coming, but from here, there's not a clear picture of what's next.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like, is it another season of this? Mandalorian? Is it a movie? In general, just what's our Star Wars content future looking like? Because we know we had like the Rian Johnson trilogy that was supposed to happen, but isn't happening, but might be happening, but isn't happening, but could be. I don't know.
For the love of God,
I
watch
don't
that
know.
trilogy, you motherfucking bastards.
It's
but
true because there was a Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones rumor for a while getting their own Star Wars spinoff, and that got completely canned, if I'm correct.
I know we talked about it. Now I'm trying to remember because it's been a while. I can't keep track of all the shit anymore that they that they tease and talk about and then cancel.
There's been a lot of rumors and things they've talked about, but they need to make a decision and give like an official thing for people to look forward to at some point.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't think they know what they want to do next.
To Andy's point too,
I
it's
feel
like
they have a small idea, but not a firm one.
I think when you start getting into when companies start talking about cost cutting and all this stuff, that's when it's like, okay, what kind of red flags are you going to raise here, and what are you going to cancel that I love because you want to save money? Like
And
that's
Disney Plus
kind
has
of where we're at.
already done it. I love Willow, and
I knew Willow
yes.
was going to be what because
and
it was great.
like the show was good. It wasn't the Willow that I was used to, but I still really liked the show. And then they went and freaking canned it, and it.
Not only did they can it, they pulled it from the service. That if anyone wants to find it later and watch it, there's no way you can do that.
Yeah, because
none.
Which is really unfortunate because the season itself was good.
It was a good season. I wanted to see more. I definitely wanted to see more, and it's bullshit that they did that kind of stuff. They are. I have a half a mind to cancel the subscription based on just that.
Yeah. If if I knew my cancellation was going directly to funding more Willow or somehow, feeding that beast or giving them the signal that this is why I don't like your service anymore, I would do that. They're not going to see that, so I'm still a sucker and probably going to still sign up and pay for it because I want all my Star Wars shit. So
yeah, we can scream
that's
into
my catch-22.
Yeah, we can scream into the void all day long, social media and whatnot, but they're not going to hear it. They don't care. It's one person.
Yeah, I mean, when I canceled, they gave me the option to tell them why, and I was very clear. I mean, one of the choices was cost too much.
Yeah.
Because they sent me an email that the cost was going to double for me, and then I canceled, and I said, one of the options was it cost too much. So I just told them that, like, this is bullshit.
I know. I saw
$80 a year to $140 a year.
I think one of the fleeting times I was on X recently, I think I caught a tweet from Warwick Davis who said he's still constantly being asked, like, from people that liked Willows, I want to check out your show, and he's trying to point them at the Willow series, but he can't because it's not on Disney Plus anymore. So he's like, I think he either tagged Disney Plus or Disney or
yep, he did.
Something.
Can you buy it on like a hard copy?
No,
Is that
there's no physical discs at all.
I don't believe they have that. Yeah.
So there's literally nowhere to watch it unless you pirate it.
You literally cannot unless you pirate it. Yes. Which they're inviting that. It's so stupid. What kind of model is that where you're telling people to go into the black market and fucking find your content because you yourself won't you won't provide it? That's stupid.
Yeah, you paid to provide that, to make the content.
Yeah, I don't know what the legit, like the financial benefit is, I guess, of not having, like, is it just somehow paying residuals for stuff if it's still on the service and people are watching it? But it's like, if you want this to maybe grab an audience, you need it to sit there and hopefully let people find it.
Because there's always a chance that it ends up being a cult classic.
Right, just even like the first Willow.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, like what led to the first season of
exactly. So frustrating.
All right, so Ahsoka.
Yes.
Yeah, back to Ahsoka and away from Disney Plus's
shenanigans.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't really. I was gonna start leading into spoilers. So you guys have anything general spoiler free that you want to get out before we get into the spoilery stuff?
Nope.
Nothing. Okay. All right. We're gonna get into some spoilers. So if you haven't finished Ahsoka season 1 and do not want spoiled, pause us now. Come back after finishing season 1. Unless you hate surprises and would rather us tell you all about it. In that case, continue on. Either way, last warning: spoilers to follow.
Wee spoiler. Wee spoiler. Something like that.
All right, so we are back talking spoilers. So here's what I'm going to try to do. I have like my talking points and sort of questions I was going to try to get to. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Jason was demanding that we do this episode. So I actually reached out to him and asked him if he had some stuff for us that he wanted to listen to us talk about. So he gave me some questions. So we're going to start with these and see what kind of talking points I guess we get out of these. So Jason's first question to us. What do you think Thrawn's plan is with the Night Sisters of Dathomir?
Are you going to call him on us, or is it just go?
Sure. Mike, you chimed in. I'll let you go. I should have
used them for his own purposes until they are used up and spent, and he has expended them until they no longer serve a purpose for him to use.
As in, like, they're gonna die, or just like tools?
I mean, tools, yes, and he doesn't care if they live or die. He's using them now because he needed them. He needed them to get back, so that's why he used them. He manipulated them or did whatever Thrawn does. He's a brilliant character. He's supposed to be among the smartest characters that exist in this Star Wars universe. He used them because strategically he had no other choice. What does he plan to do when he gets back? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to continue to serve him once they get back to Dathomir.
I don't know. He packed up one of their fucking monolith things or whatever the hell that thing was on that planet and took it with him. So that's something.
It is, but I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying is they don't really have loyalty to the Empire. They have loyalty to Thrawn a little bit, because he helped them get home. But I think once they're back on Dathomir, they may be their own separate threat.
They always were.
They always were,
Yeah.
but they couldn't get home. Like, they were,
Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah. So I think when they get home, what are they gonna? They may actually be kind of a mutual threat between Thrawn and everybody else. They may no longer serve Thrawn once they're home and they get to the source of their power.
Okay.
I don't know. But what was his plan? Use them because he had to.
Andy, you got anything else for this one?
They're tools. Exactly. Mike nailed it right on the head with his hammer, which is a tool. He has that army of undead stormtroopers, zombie stormtroopers. I don't know what you want to call them. Zomtroopers. And I think he's going to continue to use them to perform those tasks because it is an undying army that he has. And he doesn't have to worry about loyalty or healthcare costs, really, to have his army function at its best.
So wait, are you saying the whole stormtrooper army that he has are all dead people?
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't take it that way personally.
I didn't get that either.
I feel like he had a few elite soldiers that he sent that were, but not that all of them were.
So my assumption is that the cargo that they have to load, that they're trying to stall, gain time for, are more dead troopers.
Okay, so I see a little bit of that because I think when we meet Thrawn on the planet, I think all of his stormtroopers on the Star Destroyer are alive and well. Now, in the finale, they start getting knocked off. The Night Sisters cast their magic. They revive some to be the zombies that chase them through the Star Destroyer and stuff. But I think it's just that group that were sliced down by Ezra, Ahsoka, and Sabine. It's not the entire army. Now, to Andy's point, whatever they were packing up, I couldn't tell if it was deconstructed pieces of the monolith that are on the Star Destroyer or if they were just coffins. Like, they just looked like a body bag almost of just troops and troops and troops and troops. And if that's the course and they want to go to Dathomir to get the Night Sisters there, to Andy's point, the Night Sisters could revive a bunch of dead soldiers that have been dead on that planet for years since they've been stuck there. And suddenly Thrawn has an undead army.
I guess that's certainly possible. My thought, I had a different line of thought about what they were loading.
Okay.
And I don't know if it plays or not, but my assumption was you have this distant, ridiculously far away planet that they're on, right? In a different universe or galaxy or whatever you want to consider it. And it is this supposed birthplace of the Jedi of the Force, right? Like, wasn't that part of, the idea was there was some link to the origins of the Force in this place.
I think
that's what Skull's looking for. That's what Balin's looking for.
Yeah, I think that's
that link to the origin.
You could be extrapolated for that, yes. And I think it lends credibility to they're supposed to be making a movie. That's the one that I want to say James Mangold is doing, if I remember. It was announced at the same time that the Dave Filoni movie thing is happening. That I think Mangold's supposed to be doing a Origins of the Force type movie. So we could see that happen on this planet whenever they do that.
And to me, that says kyber crystals.
Ooh.
And
okay.
The reason I say that is because, wasn't the original source of the Death Star kyber crystals?
Yes.
Wasn't that how they were powering them?
That was the laser, yes.
Starkiller Base is significantly larger than a Death Star and would need significantly more to power its... it had to absorb power from the sun, perhaps into a bunch of kyber crystals, to fire off and destroy a solar system in the far reaches. Perhaps that is the beginning of the source of the power that fuels Starkiller Base and then subsequently the Sith fleet.
Okay.
In the future.
Interesting.
Do we think that he was, because he was deconstructing whatever artifact that was that they were standing on, right? Like, that whole thing came down, didn't it?
Did it?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
He blew that thing up, didn't he?
I thought
they
that
fired on it.
Oh. Yeah.
It ended up just collapsing because.
So what were they packing up then? Because I think when on like the first
Kyber
watch,
crystals.
I think I just assumed they were taking that monolith artifact down piece by piece and loading it onto the cargo bay of the Star Destroyer. But if it was just bodies of stormtroopers, like sort of Andy and I were spitballing, why would they just be in the temple? Or unless that's where they kept the bodies? I don't know. That seems weird to me. I'm kind of talking myself out of it.
It
I don't
could
know.
be maybe a different type of kyber crystal, even something that is perhaps the source of the Dathomiri witch's power, the Night Sisters' power, some sort of something that. Yeah, I mean, because we really don't know exactly what grants them that power.
Yeah. Are we meant to? So this was something I
I
was
don't know.
maybe
There's
gonna
a
ask.
lot of possibilities.
There are a lot of possibilities of what he's bringing back.
So two things I want to spin to. One, were you surprised that Morgan Elswith is a Night Sister?
What?
I didn't see that coming. That surprised me.
Well, she became a Night Sister. Was she actually a Night Sister, or was she Dathomiri before that?
Do they?
I guess I could assume Dathomiri as Night Sister, but
Did they reference her being Dathomiri when Ahsoka fought her in the Mandalorian series? I don't think
we knew very little about her. We might have had a name at that point, and that she worked for Thrawn. That was kind of all we knew.
But I'm thinking maybe Ahsoka let slip that maybe she knew that she was Dathomiri.
Oh, I mean, I have to go back and rewatch, but I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't remember the dialogue from that scene. I remember that being a cool fight.
Oh, it was an awesome
her
fight with
having
the Beskar spear. Yeah, it was
spear was awesome.
really
Yeah.
awesome fight on the bridge with the water lily pads next to him. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of cool weapons and stuff, and Morgan, the sword that is, why is the character's name escaping me? It replaces, like, Ahsoka ends up taking it, replacing her Shoto saber with Morgan's sword.
Yeah.
That I can't remember the character's name, but it's Darth Maul's
Mother Talzin.
Yes, Talzin. That's it. It's Mother Talzin's sword. So now Ahsoka is wielding her own lightsaber and Mother Talzin's sword.
Yeah.
That's just fucking cool. That's all I want to say about it. That's I got nothing. It's just that's cool.
So, all right. So one, like I said, the reveal of Morgan at least being from Dathomir even was a surprise to me. I didn't see that coming.
Yes. I agree. At the beginning of the series, that was like, oh shit.
Two,
okay.
I don't know if I misread the dialogue or what, but I think at one point when I forget the planet name, but when Balin and her and Shin are on the planet at the edge of the ocean, and they put the map in the whatever reader that was. You see the map and all this stuff. Balin asks her, like, who made these structures, because it's not Jedi, it's not Sith or somebody else, and she mentions that, like, the creators came from another galaxy. I was extrapolating that the creators of the thing are the Night Sisters. So does that mean that the Night Sisters then came from the planet that we visit?
I don't know about that.
Like, could they have started there where we end up and where the origins of Force were, and then they eventually make their way to Dathomir to call that home? I don't think they originated from Dathomir. Is sort of what I'm getting at.
Didn't she state at one point that her lineage traveled the galaxies before history was written or something to that effect?
It could have been something. Yeah, that might have led to it too. Because again, if you're going tracing her lineage as a Night Sister, then yes, the Night Sisters would have came from somewhere else.
Because they figured out that the giant deep space whales were able to take them to places that they wanted to go.
Okay. And I think that could lend to maybe why the use of the Force is different, why it looks like magic here, because they came from another galaxy where maybe that was commonplace, where Force is magic over there. I don't know. That's just my explanation of it, I guess.
I feel like there's secrets to that to be unraveled over time here, hopefully.
All right, I'm going to move on to Jason's second question. So,
all right, Jason.
Was anyone frustrated about Sabine having Force powers to the extent that she did? Now, he references watching a new Rockstar breakdown of her being related to Tar Vizsla, who is the only Mandalorian Jedi. So he said that kind of makes sense. Now, I didn't watch that video, so I'm not sure. I don't know much about, I guess, if her lineage is traced back to that.
I'll let Andy go first on this.
My frustration with that was in the fact that she couldn't do anything to being able to push Ezra all the way up onto the Star Destroyer. Like there was no building. It was 0 to 60. Boom boom.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that would have been my frustration. Was it cool to see? Yes, I would have liked to have seen something like that progressed instead of like a hit it or quit it sort of deal.
Okay. Mike, on that note, what do you think about that?
My biggest issue with the whole idea of Sabine having force powers and being force sensitive and all this, did they ever hint at that during Rebels?
No.
We had 4 seasons of nothing about that. Kanan's there the whole time. Ezra's there the whole time. They sensed nothing.
That's a lot of my gripe with it, is that when I forget who name drops it first. I thought Balin might have said it first, of like Ahsoka's going to her apprentice, or her previous apprentice, Sabine Wren, and I was like, wait, what? Sabine? When the fuck did this happen? Why? And then like you still don't get all the answers until really the end of the show how this sort of came to be. But yeah, I it felt like it was out of left field. It felt like they were doing it for a specific character arc, and I feel like they just did it for Ahsoka so that she could be a teacher for once, and not like, you know, the role reversal between her and Anakin. Now she's in the Anakin position teaching Sabine. But I don't know. I just wanted Sabine to do some cool Mandalorian shit, and the Force Jedi stuff was unnecessary, I thought. But
I love Sabine as a character.
Yeah.
Sabine is fantastic, and putting this part onto it and making me question, like, why would they do that? Andy, earmuffs for a moment. The very end of Rebels hints at this. Not hints at force powers, hints at her and Ahsoka going off together. Hints at this whole series going to find Ezra. That's how Rebels ends. I get that. But even then, in that moment, they don't hint that, like, Ahsoka's gonna teach her the Force or something.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. We had 4 whole seasons, 88 or 96 episodes, whatever the hell it was we had of Rebels, and none of this came up? Not once? So it's not, I guess for me, it's one of those things like, oh, for a character to truly be badass in Star Wars, they either have to be a Jedi or a Mandalorian or Han Solo. That's about it. And this time they're like, let's do both, just because we haven't done it in live action yet. Well, where are we going to do that? Wow, ham-fisted onto Sabine. It's like, this could have been the same exact story without the Force powers.
Yeah.
Like, Sabine could have been just as awesome without Force, and maybe it was like, oh, we want that scene of her pushing. I'm like, no, man, like, we don't need that. Not every character needs the Force.
Yeah,
Unless they're leading into anybody can use the Force as part of the story at some point, in which case I'll just shit a brick and quit.
It's like I'm kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt because I trust Dave enough to kind of see where this goes. But at the same time, I'm like, Dave, man, come on. Like, you're better than this.
I feel like it's the first major plot point that he's responsible for that pissed me off a little.
Yeah. And the whole time I'm like, where the fuck is her jetpack? Like, you have your Mandalorian fucking armor and no jetpack that you've used throughout the entirety of Rebels. Where the fuck is your jetpack?
And her spray paint.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she was cool for a reason. Like, she had all these cool character attributes. She didn't need the Force.
Well, it's like you see drawings that she's done. You just don't see her do any new drawings.
Do any of the new ones.
Yeah, she should have tagged stuff in this. Like, it would have been fun.
They made reference to her artistic ability when Ahsoka tries to get her to find the pattern in the map on the ball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like they tried to explain away her force powers with Huang telling her that she would never have even been admitted into any sort of Jedi training in the first place.
Right.
But
Anakin was too old at 6 years old.
The gap was too big from him saying that to her being able to push a human being 50 feet in the air for me.
Like, I liked that the first half of this series, like, she just can't do anything with it. Like, there's no force there. She's good with a lightsaber because she trained with the darksaber. Like, I can see that stuff happening.
Even if they just had her use a lightsaber as a weapon, not even be force sensitive, just like, yeah, she's got a lightsaber.
Yeah. Fuck, I just realized I
uses
spoiled
it.
that for Andy. Fuck, sorry.
Oh, the darksaber thing, yeah. Then
I gotta really start watching what I'm saying around you, because I don't remember. I'm not consciously thinking that you haven't seen the back half of Rebels.
I at least said earmuffs. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I fucked up. Yeah. Anything else for Sabine, or I'll move on to the next question.
There was something in my head just a second ago, and I was coming around to it, and I think that was just going to be. I really, really, really hope. I haven't seen it, and I'm sorry, Paula, if you're listening and you start rooting for Ezra and Sabine to have some kind of love interest, we're gonna be at more odds than we were with the whole, like, Reylo thing. They are a brother-sister tandem. They are not a romantic interest, and I feel like at different times they started to edge there a little bit and then back off of it, and I was like, don't do that.
I'm here
That's
for
a brother-sister combo.
I ship it.
They're a brother-sister combo. To me, that's what they were through all of Rebels. They were a brother-sister thing. I don't want that to go the romantic route.
I'm here for it. I'm ready.
See, that's what I'm worried about. Why? They were a brother-sister thing. Like,
I thought I don't know. I always saw it in Rebels that he always had a thing for her, and she just never really reciprocated. Like, there was a little playful flirting and stuff, but
see, I saw that as brother-sister, like, ribbing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just looked into it differently. Maybe that's just 'cause maybe I just want it to happen deep down, and that's
from what I remember. I always thought he had a thing for her.
Oh boy, here we go.
But that was I only watched two seasons. So.
Although I'm still not wrong about Reylo. Fuck J.J. Abrams for making that thing.
Just trying to make enemies out there. All right.
I mean, he was, yes, that's exactly. I mean, that's why he did Rise of Skywalker the way he did. That's not, but another story for another day.
All right, next question. Jason's third question. Was the lack of closure on Baylan and Shin's story detrimental to the show, or did they actually think they completed their story arcs? Andy, I'll start with you this time.
I don't think it was detrimental. I feel I have much more curiosity in regard to that now than I did before.
Mm.
I guess it was a little detrimental because it left me wanting more and didn't deliver. So I think it probably did maybe knock it down a peg for me because it didn't like touch base with that. It was trying to tell a lot in a bunch of different arcs, and I feel like it wasn't able to do more with some of the arcs that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So in a way, it was detrimental, but not enough to make me hate it or anything. I still think it was a good show.
Okay, Mike.
I think long term we're going to find that out in the future once we see more of the resolution of this story. I think one way or another, choosing to do it that way is going to end up detrimental, not to their own fault, but because we did lose Ray Stevenson, and he was so goddamn good, you're not going to replace him. What are you going to do, Sean Bean? I seen a thing talking about replacing him and, like, who should replace him. And Sean Bean, to me, was like, maybe, but it's still not going to be the same.
My vote's for Andy.
Just let Andy do it?
Yeah, he's got the gray hair, the beard. He could do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better start training
but
now.
I think that part of it will be somewhat detrimental to the overall story of it. But again, that's not necessarily their fault because they obviously couldn't have known that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I do think that it would have been preferential for me as a fan to have had his story wrapped up in a single season. But I look forward to whatever comes of it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like circumstantially, yes. As far as Shin's, no, I feel like Shin having more to do is good. I feel like that part is good, Balin's part, it would have been nice to wrap that up. But seeing how they ended the series with Ahsoka and Ezra on that planet still,
Sabine.
I. Oh.
You said Ahsoka and Ezra.
Oh, yeah. Ahsoka and Sabine
Yep.
on that planet still. I think there's an interesting arc for them discovering it alongside him.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. I would like, not everything in every series needs to wrap up into a tight, neat little pouch. I just feel like this series wrapped nothing up into a neat little pouch and gave us no complete stories. That one in particular, I don't feel was an issue though.
Okay. Yeah, I think like beginning of the season, I was thinking like, okay, I know like going into it, we knew Ray Stevenson died. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know what they're gonna do with this guy, but his arc has to be done by the end of this. Like he's gonna be the character that gets killed somewhere through the season, right? And I was kind of just banking on that. And then like getting into the season more, and then by definitely halfway through, I'm like, no, this dude, I don't know what the fuck's going on with him, but he is interesting as fuck. Like I need to see where this goes. And then you get to like episode 7, you're like, for the love of God, do something with him because we can't get any more. Just give me something here. And then he does basically nothing in the last episode besides stand. No, he does have a fight. I'm sorry, he does have a fight.
It's not even like
Yeah.
an entire fight though. It's we get the start of a fight in a quick egress from Ahsoka that you
And then he's just
you
left
don't-
standing around at the end of it.
And then
you're
he's just
like,
kinda
what
like-
is happening? Why?
Yeah, and then he sort of like looks around and he's like, okay, well, I guess I'm back on my personal quest, and just starts trudging off. And
Yeah.
you're okay. Well, that
So yeah,
kinda, anticlimactic.
lack of closure. I think I'm with these guys. Is it sucks for Balin because we don't have Rey. I want to if we knew Rey was still around and we were getting more with this character and where it was going to go and to tie that off, I'm all for it. I'm fine with the way this ended. But because now you're at the point where this character is so interesting and he seems to be the one that everyone's coming out of this talking about, you now have to recast. You can't just let this go because we've lost Rey, and then it becomes okay, well now if you're recasting, who gets to fill those shoes? And the whole time we're going to be judging them. You're no Ray Stevenson for me. Fuck you. What do you got here?
So it's different but similar in my opinion because we're sort of judging Rosario based on Ashley Eckstein's voice in the
Okay,
same
yeah.
respect. I mean, Ashley didn't die or anything, but
Right. Yeah. Like that's me personally that's just having a hard time getting over that hump. So I could feel the same way depending on who they recast for Ray.
right.
And I mean, to be fair with Ashley, if she did it live action, she probably would not really look the part. And it would be like, the voice is right, but
I never
what's
saw
going on with the look?
I guess I never saw her as so might go off in a tangent, but in the flashbacky Anakin episode, like when they had little Ahsoka, I was like, oh god, is this going to be Ashley? Because Ashley's tiny. I thought they were actually going to give her a chance to be Ahsoka in live action in that moment, and they didn't. So I was slightly disappointed, but all that stuff was great. We'll get to that later. I don't want to get sidetracked on that yet. The stuff for Balin, yeah, I don't think it was detrimental. Again, only detrimental because we lost Rey. I think where it's at is good. Shin, I think I'm kind of agreeing with Mike. I think it was fine where it ended to leave her sort of on the board and possibly getting this army and going for the quest for more power and stuff like that, and we'll see where that goes. It's more just I think the show itself was detrimental, just leaving all these loose story threads with no clear idea of when they will get wrapped up again.
Or if
Yeah, knock on wood. So we're gonna see where as far as like completing their story arcs, I don't think either of them really had. They had small arcs, but not a big arc, I guess. So the bigger arc is obviously going to happen whenever we get to more seasons or more content, whatever else they start showing up in. But
I found myself caring a lot less about what she was doing.
yeah,
I felt
agree.
like she was very, how do I put it, typical Sith apprentice.
yeah,
Just Sith apprentice B, okay, that
just
one.
sick
just
'em.
like,
Go.
yeah, just she didn't do anything that astounded me or made me think that I want more of her.
Yeah,
Balin is the complete vice versa of that. Like, I want more of that character.
He said less than most characters in the show, and yet he was the most interesting fucking guy in there.
Yes.
It's because every line he said was interesting. They gave him profound things to say every time, and
Even his
God damn it, Ray Stevenson as a Sith was perfect.
Yeah.
Or a dark side wielder. I guess he's not a Sith necessarily, but
even his lightsaber fighting style was more berserker and more power than it was like most
brute
lightsaber
force,
fights.
kinda.
Yeah, most lightsaber fights we watch, it's all about speed and technique.
Finesse.
His was more like, I am just going to overpower you.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it two-handed the entire time? Did he ever use one hand?
He did.
I'm sure his hand came off of it from time to time.
I,
You know what I mean? Like in moments, but I don't think he swung with one.
Okay,
hand.
yeah, because everything I'm thinking is the swings two-handed the entire time.
Which, so to draw a parallel, to somebody I may mention again at some point here, to Darth Bane, and the depiction of Balin and Shin compared to Bane and Zana, his apprentice, who was also a diminutive blonde girl. His fighting style, personally, like Bane's fighting style was very powerful. He used a double-sided lightsaber, but he was very powerful and forceful in his movements, and he taught Zana to use the speed because she didn't have the same physical strength that he did. And he taught her how to like parry and deflect more, and I feel like we saw that as well. So I feel like they included some aspects of that tandem from Legends in here in their depiction, where Bane would have been a big hulking dude the way that they portrayed Balin here,
Yeah.
with a much more smaller and agile apprentice.
Yeah.
And
so
there was parallels, is what I'm saying. It was very cool to see how they handled that.
Andy, go ahead.
he could just be a very tactical type fighter where he knows he has the strength advantage over Ahsoka. So he's going to use that to his advantage, and he sees that as a weakness in her regard. So he knows he can beat her in strength. And he probably knows that although he did show quite a bit of agility in a couple of those moves that he did as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Next question from Jason. So we all love Star Wars. Most of us have watched Clone Wars or Rebels, but was the show a little too reliant on the hardcore fan base having watched those shows? Do you think this was good for the general audience? Which I guess we sort of talked about it before. I'd direct this question probably more to Andy because you haven't finished a lot of that stuff. But do you think this was, I guess, more made for the hardcore? I've watched everything Star Wars and this is my show, or do you think general audiences could get into this without watching all the other peripheral stuff?
I personally feel this was 100% made for the hardcore people that have watched Rebels.
Fair.
I feel like I wanted to almost stop watching the show after like the first two episodes and go back.
But
and
by
watch,
then you've signed up for doing this podcast and you could not back out.
Exactly. That's,
You would not allow
That's
it.
not the reason. But anyways, they reference so many things that happened in those other shows that you almost need to know that, or you don't feel like you're in the club. You're not in the know.
Yeah.
You're sort of left in the dust a little bit. I know I watched this with Jess, and this show was very low on her list of Star Wars shows that she liked. So
just not having all that background information and stuff.
I think it just bored her to tears. She didn't have any
connection to anybody.
Yeah, she didn't care what happened to anybody in this.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
I think he's spot on. And the whole premise of the show was based, or at least the first half of it, or even the whole thing was based on chasing down and the results of finding characters that only existed in live action, at least in Rebels, and then of course in novels for some of the characters. Actually, all of them existed in novels, I think. Yes. Nonetheless, you have this, we're looking to find Ezra, we're looking to find Thrawn, and prevent Thrawn from coming back, but bring Ezra back, and for your average viewer, they're like, who the fuck are they?
Yeah.
What?
Like, why do I care about this?
Why is he such a threat? Why
Yeah,
is
like,
why is the green lady so obsessed over trying to find this Thrawn threat?
Yeah.
I still don't understand that personally. Like what the hell she cared about Thrawn? I don't know. I still don't understand that entirely. Other than her wanting to find like the Night Sisters that were there with him more than she wanted to find him.
I think he was talking about Hera, the green lady.
Oh. I was thinking green magic. And the Night Sisters, but yes. But speaking of Hera, in a way that they could have brought this around better, for newer viewers, what's something that always brings people around to starting to like characters? A bit of comedy, a bit of buddy kind of stuff. All you needed to do to get those people on board, Zeb and Chopper. You needed more Zeb. Well, you needed Zeb, since
Zeb's
he
too
didn't
expensive.
fucking
We
show
can't
up.
put him in a lot of episodes.
Yeah, I guess. And Chopper. You give us more of those two, and you'll get more people on board for the charisma of those characters, making people want to hang around and check out what they're doing. Even if you're not necessarily 100% in on the main story, you give people those characters, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I got to see what Zeb's going to do this time, or what obscenity is Chopper going to say in Droid?
Yeah.
Like it would have given a chance for bringing in some of those characters. They're part of that family unit from Rebels that was really important to the chemistry on Rebels. And if they're going, and this is a big thing for me that I'll get into. I'm not going to get into the whole why isn't Zeb there thing right now. I'll end there. Yes, it was probably really confusing for people that didn't watch.
Okay.
Rebels.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think definitely for the hardcore, I think anybody that watched Rebels and Clone Wars, you're getting a lot more out of this, and I think sort of like what Andy said, there's a lot more investing there because you've been with these characters for that long, so you obviously want to see what happens next. General audiences, Andy, it was very torn. You mentioned you were going to watch it, and you mentioned you would be up for doing this episode, so I didn't want to distract you. But anybody else that wants to watch this, I'm going to try to tell them, yes, you at least need to watch Rebels. Like, I would point you to Clone Wars if you want to, but that is a bigger investment than Rebels. You could get through Rebels a lot quicker. That it has more weight going into this. So if I'm going to recommend one thing, watch the 4 seasons of Rebels and then watch Ahsoka.
Or at least read a wiki and then watch the second half of the last season.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Like if you're really scrapping for time,
Just for continuity's sake, I feel Rebels was a better show after 2 seasons than all of Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, yes,
it bounces
was a little
around.
bit of a rough
Clone Wars
start.
has a lot of highs and lows.
It's
a roller
lot
coaster.
It's a lot of It's a lot of we're here, we're there, we're there, we're there, we're here. We're introducing characters that never show up again, ever again, and then the next episode you're back with Ahsoka Tano and Anakin Skywalker. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. Rebels has a very nice this is what we're doing, this is our flow.
Yeah.
Speaking of, for people that haven't watched the Clone Wars, I also have seen we were talking earlier about the the continuity line of watching Clone Wars, so you're watching them in chronological order. I have also seen a master set list of episodes you actually need to watch that matter, like in episodes that actually
all
matter.
killer, no filler.
No filler.
Yeah. None of the episodes where it's like, boy, we'll never see them again.
Well, I'm already thinking, Andy, you haven't watched season 7 of Clone Wars. I would only tell you to watch the last 4 episodes or 5 episodes, whatever that Siege of Mandalore arc is for season 7.
And
that is fucking fantastic. But
Okay,
The season was good, but it just didn't matter
last
in the
season-
grand scheme of
the
things.
last season that I watched was the one that got cut short because it got canceled or whatever before Netflix picked up and put that other one on. And I even think that season was kind of unnecessary.
So wait, I think we're misremembering because Clone Wars ended on Cartoon Network season 5, and then it went to Netflix for season 6. Season 7 was on Disney Plus.
That's
Yes.
okay. The Netflix one is the one I did watch. Because it was sort of like an abridged season, and
Yes.
it was mostly about like the Order 66.
There was some
clone
of that, and then like
troopers
Yoda
and
searching
stuff.
for like origins of the Force and stuff like that.
Yeah, it seemed really very unnecessary.
Yeah. But yeah, if you have not watched that season that went to Disney Plus, just watch The Siege of Mandalore. You could watch it like a movie. It's fucking great.
Well, even then, the season that went to Disney Plus is only like 12 episodes, anyways.
It's shorter, yeah. But I think
like,
if
it's
you're
like-
looking for the filler or the killer part of it and get rid of the filler, I think it's just The Siege of Mandalore. That's it.
Yeah.
Which, they reference in this series, so you could see that whole battle in Clone Wars, which is cool. Okay. Last thing from Jason, which is kind of a two-parter. Are you excited about Thrawn as the big bad of the Star Wars universe? And is there another character from extended Star Wars lore, comics, legends, etc., that you wish would make an appearance? And I'm taking that as appearance in live action, like either coming from animation or some other part of the Star Wars lore. Old canon, new canon, whatever. Just live action equivalent and give them something to do. So, are you excited about Thrawn being the big bad going forward? And what characters do you want to see make an appearance? I gave you guys some time to simmer. Do you have an answer for the characters making an appearance, or do you want me to go first?
I can go
Okay.
first if it gives
Mike, go ahead.
you guys time. Because, yes, of course, I'm excited about Thrawn. I love the character. The portrayal in this season was fantastic. Of course, she got the same actor here. We get to see that in action, what we talked about with Ashley Eckstein and Ahsoka's voice. We get the voice actor for Thrawn playing the character in live action, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It worked. It was good.
Although Ian planted that fucking seed about Blue Elon, and then I couldn't unsee that for a little while. But
Yeah, that was difficult.
as
It's
soon
not
as
wrong.
as soon
It's
as
not
Lars
wrong,
starts
but-
talking, I'm back in. But the looking at him
You-
and the getup and the shitty wig that he was wearing or whatever the hell, it was like, but yeah, do your Thrawn voice, do your Thrawn mannerisms. I'm all for it. I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not really supposed to like Thrawn, so it's fine when you think of it as Elon. It's like, whatever. I don't really like Elon. I don't really like Thrawn. I'm fine. And as far as a character that I want to see in live action, yeah, we're going Darth Bane 100%. One of, if not the most powerful Jedi, or not Jedi, I'm sorry, Sith to ever exist. We're talking about somebody that could pull planets, that could jump into orbit off of a planet. And he has a very interesting storyline. He is the creator of the Rule of Two. He destroys both the Jedi and the Sith so that he can be the only one left, and then chooses his own apprentice. It sounds like a ton of fun to me. The Old Republic in general, I'll take anything I can get if we're gonna get the Old Republic. Any of it, I'll be happy for. But Darth Bane kind of being the be-all and end-all, where, like, he's a very evil character, but he destroys the Sith Empire for his own purposes. And I love that about him. He turns pure evil, like chaotic evil, I guess you could say. And I enjoy that. And he's just a cool character to see, but if we're going to see Darth Bane, that also means we're going to see other characters from that time period, and that would also be exciting.
Nice.
What is Darth Bane from?
Darth Bane.
Like Old Republic era, I think, right? Or before?
Yeah, he's the Old Republic era. He takes place when the Sith Empire is fighting the Jedi Empire. Like the Jedi have an army, the Sith have an army, and they are actively fighting one another.
So it's a book called Darth Bane.
I think there's a trilogy, right?
Yeah,
and it's in
it's called the
Legends.
Darth
It's in the
Bane
Legends
trilogy.
canon, so it's not no longer of quote unquote official.
Yeah,
right.
It's been,
But I didn't know if it was like a video game or if it was actual
novel.
written
don't-
lore
Novels.
or
I don't
comic
think
book.
he turns up in any video games. He may turn up in the Old Republic, like that MMO.
Yeah.
But I never played that, so I don't know for sure.
I don't. He did. He didn't when I played it. So
I'm trying to look up the names of the books quickly, and I'm saying like there, like yeah, he's also explores the origins of Korriban and the origins of the Sithari, and like it's his story very much would track along the line of kind of what Balin followed. Yeah, the first book is called Darth Bane, Path of Destruction. The second book is called Darth Bane, The Rule of Two, and the third one is Darth Bane, Dynasty of Evil.
okay.
And like his rise and fall is a really cool story. So definitely something, it's not just about the character being cool, it's also about the stuff that gets explored and explained. Will they follow that old canon? Probably not, but it would be cool to see how they would interweave the character, which does exist in canon. Like he appears in an episode of Clone Wars that we discussed.
Oh yeah.
Briefly as a forced ghost kind of thing. I don't know what the hell to call it. I don't think we've seen anything else like it so far in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But he does appear in an episode of that while Yoda is searching for the origins of the Force, he runs into whatever this relic of Darth Bane is. Yeah, 100%. That's where I'd be. If I want to give a second place, Darth Plagueis, of course. Like, let's see the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Still unclear if that novel is considered canon or not. I still think it's like it rides the line. So I don't know if it made it in or made it out. I don't know. I guess I'd have to see if they rebranded the cover, if it has legends attached to it or not. Because I know they tried to do that for a lot of those.
Reprint it?
Yeah.
I can look it up.
Because everything
Go
that was
ahead.
out there, prior to has now at least tried to be rebranded with the Legends banner on there somewhere. But all right, Andy, for you, Thrawn is the big bad, and any characters else you want to see make an appearance?
I am excited about Thrawn as the big bad. I feel like it's a different, more interesting take than, say, Snoke or the Empire or Vader and the Emperor.
Yeah.
All that. It's his own. Like he's recreating the Empire in his vision. So I feel like he has other motivations other than ultimate power. So
it's such a cool thing to see him rationalize the battle, as like you see him placing the chess pieces, right? Like even the final battle of the final, I think it's like the final episode or second to last episode, he was counting on Balin going to fight Ezra and Ahsoka and Sabine with Shin. Balin bows out and he goes, "Oh, we're short one mercenary." And then at that point he's like, "Oh, we lost the battle. That was my wild card piece that I needed in there." And he's already realized as the tactician, nope, this isn't going to work anymore. All right, on to plan B. Like, that tactical mind of him is so fascinating to me, and I love the way that's logical and rationalized for everything that he plans. Like, that it's such a cool thing to do, and just trying to find ways to outsmart him and outlast him is a different challenge that we haven't really seen in a lot of other stuff before, and I find that really interesting.
He's also the only non-human to
Yes.
hold an officer's position,
Yeah.
or even be a part of the Empire. I don't think we ever see non-humans in Empire garb.
No.
It's all humans.
Yeah, because the humans are supposed to be like the Nazis, or the
Yes.
Empire is supposed to be like the Nazis.
Yeah, and he is. What does he end up at? Like his peak, he's what? I mean, if you call the Emperor first in command and Vader second in command, would Thrawn be fourth? behind Tarkin, and then third when Tarkin dies.
Yeah, I don't know if Grand Moff is better than Grand Admiral.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
I don't know
confusing.
the hierarchy of the Empire. We'd have to go
Yeah,
back and look
he
and
is
see how many
either
red and
third
blue.
or fourth in.
I have to go back and see how many red and blue tiles are on Tarkin's uniform and then compare them to Thrawn's. I feel like the white Admiral uniform is higher than the Moff, but no, maybe not, because what the fuck's the guy's name
Krennic.
from
Director
Krennic had to eat shit for Tarkin, so Tarkin might be above the admirals.
But well, Krennic wasn't an admiral; he was director.
Oh, that's true. He had a white uniform. It was throwing me off.
Yeah, I don't know what the white uniform signifies. Having Krennic and Thrawn both be kind of the only officers we see with it.
Yeah.
But either way, Thrawn is either third or fourth in charge of the Empire. He's like either third or fourth most powerful member of the Empire.
Either way, everyone above him, is dead, so he is the commander-in-chief right now.
Yes, he is. Whatever is left, he's in charge. And for him to be non-human, I was saying it speaks to how well respected his cunning was by the Emperor.
Yeah.
How well the Emperor respected how smart and strategic Thrawn was is why he got to that spot as the only non-human, and he gets to also be that high up in the ranking.
Yeah.
So he's a very real threat.
Andy, any characters you want to see make an appearance?
This was difficult for me. I don't have that extensive knowledge of things in the extended universe or the Legends universe.
Well, it doesn't have to specifically be that. Like, if there's any comic book character that you've read about that hasn't made a live action appearance, or video game character or something like that.
So I've always been really interested in the character that you play as in the original X-Wing game. So I'm going to say Ace Azamine.
I don't even remember that guy having a name.
I mean, that's the name that comes up like automatically, and then you can change it to whatever you want it to be.
Okay, gotcha.
But that's like the recruit in the X-Men game or X-Wing game. So
X-Men. Yeah, we need
Can
to
I change
we
my
need to get
honorable
some
mention?
fucking Rogue Squadron shit going on here. I need some X-Wing fighter pilot crap. Go ahead, Mike.
I just wanted to change. I forgot about comics. I would change my honorable mention from Plagueis to Dr. Afra.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. That would be my actual honorable mention.
bring her
This would
murderous
seem
droids
like her-
along.
Yeah, I would want that. I forgot about comics. It slipped my mind. So yeah, that would be my second answer.
Yeah, so first part of the question, are you excited Thrawn's the big bad? Of course, yes. Thrawn has always been one of my favorite villains. Reading all the... Like, I've read the Thrawn trilogy. There was a Thrawn duology. There was a couple other Thrawn-related books in Legends canon. I have not gone through all the new Thrawn books. There's 6 of them. I've read 2. I
read the first 3. I didn't know that they continued.
There's the one just called Thrawn, and there's one that's Alliances, and then Treason. That's the first trilogy. I think that's prequel-ish.
Did Timothy Zahn write the second one too?
I thought Timothy Zahn wrote all of them. I don't think anyone else has touched Thrawn books. But the other trilogy is the Ascendancy trilogy, and it takes place like before all that stuff. Somewhere. I don't know exactly on the timeline. I know it's a prequel to the other 3 books, but so anyway.
I mean, the first book picks up when the Empire finds him.
Right.
So that'll be
I think the other stuff is him maybe making his way up through the Chiss Empire or Chiss, whatever you want to. I forget how to pronounce their race.
That word that's chess with an I.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying it's that word. That's how it's spelled. If you're not sure, if you're
So
listening,
it's Chiss.
think of chess, but it has an I.
Okay.
Could be cheese, could be chiss. I don't know that I've ever heard it said.
Yeah. I've read it and I just
by
make it
any
up in
Star
my
Wars
head whenever I
character.
read it. So that's just usually what I do. And honestly, if they bring back, if this all leads to a crossover movie with everybody where they have to defeat Thrawn, if the movie is not called Heir to the Empire, I swear to God, you're doing it wrong. Try again.
It's right there.
As far as characters that I would like to see make an appearance, the obvious one for me is Mara Jade. I love that character. Partial to redhead, so that helps. But she was just such a cool. She had what her character went through the Legends books and stuff like that was really cool. I was into all of it. Timothy Zahn still wrote her the best, I think. A lot of her books with him as the author are fantastic.
Somebody else write her?
She's had appearances and other stuff, and I think
Oh, okay.
like it was never, I don't think, books about her, but she would make like
She just
cameos
turned
in
up.
other people's books, so she never really got a lot to do, but she was there.
Okay.
And we sort of talked about it before, but Darth Revan would be cool to see just in live action, because I think that's a cool fucking looking character. I don't know if they'd go through his story arc, like spoilers and stuff for if you haven't played Knights of the Old Republic, the original OG for like Xbox and PS2, which we were talking beforehand. It's pretty much available everywhere. You can play it on your phone right now through the Apple Store if you wanted to. But there's a twist with that character in that game that's really cool. If you haven't played it, check it out. It's fun. Andy still hasn't got to that. We were giving him shit about that before, so we're gonna get. If you went back and listened to, we talked about it before too. It was the episode where we did talking about back catalog video games.
Yep.
That was the one we voted Andy needed to play next, and it's been how long and he hasn't played that?
Okay.
It's been a while.
Did you two play your back catalog games?
I did not. I would fully admit
see.
I'm right there with you.
Okay.
I'm opting to stream
played Metroid
Spider-Man
Dread.
2 over BioShock. At some point I will get to BioShock, but I did not get there yet.
I did play Metroid Dread, so
I am playing.
didn't like it actually.
I am actually playing one of the games that I believe was on that list that did not get voted. So.
All right, well you're making your way through.
And-
We'll give you that.
And Ian did stream the heavy metal game that he was.
So half of
was
us are
his-
good. Half of us are good.
Yeah, half.
Yeah, the back catalog continues to build. That's another fucking episode. All right, so we've gotten through all of Jason's questions. Thank you, Jason, for those. I told him he wrote better questions than half the shit that I had wrote down, so that's pretty good. I would gladly just field other questions from other people all the time if make it a little bit easier. Trying to look at some of the stuff I wrote down that we want to talk about. I guess just if we want to round about any of the other live action debuts for Rebel characters, anything else that stuck out to you guys we didn't talk about?
I mentioned briefly Hera didn't get enough to do. I just would have liked to have seen her have more of an arc as opposed to just like being the character that translates information from the Republic
Yeah.
to, that was pretty much what she served as. Chopper was awesome.
Yep.
Because Chopper
Chopper
is
steals
always
the show.
awesome.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Just more Chopper. Just a Chopper show. Can we just get a Chopper show where we know, like, just
I thought they had something
Please.
like that, like on the Star Wars website after Rebels would air. I thought there was always like some sort of little Chopper show or something, or he was involved in the after show or something. I vaguely remember stuff like that.
yeah, like little stingers.
Yeah,
almost, like
something.
Chopper doing weird shit. No Zeb. I had mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, that stinks.
If you're having a story about them chasing down what amounts to his best friend in Ezra, we're gonna go save him. Nobody told Zeb. Nobody was like, hey, Zeb, we're going to go do this thing with, you remember your best friend Ezra? We're going to go get him. Nobody said anything, or did he turn it down? To me, this is the same kind of bullshit that, like, Wedge denied Leia's call for help, but turned up when Lando called
Yeah.
in Rise of Skywalker. Like, piss off. Zeb would have been there for this. They better have a damn good explanation of where Zeb was and why he wasn't there for this, or I'm gonna be upset with
You're gonna
them.
see the
Those two
flashbacks of
were-
him like flying in his X-wing or Y-wing or whatever right after Hera like gets out of there and like just sees the destruction. Like he's just gonna be behind everything the entire way.
Wasn't he just recently in an episode of The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he was there in the background, like throws up a cheers or something to them when Nando's talking to what's that character's name? The X-wing pilot that
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
yeah, but he's talking to him, they're at the bar, there's Zeb, and it's like, oh fucking hey, Zeb, he's gonna be in the Ahsoka series, and then he doesn't even turn up.
I told you, it's too
I don't
expensive.
know,
You
man.
can't CG that character for that long in this series. There's no way.
They could have at least explained why he wasn't there.
That I give you. Yes. They
Um,
talked.
again, this is his best friend.
I thought there was
they're
a
going after.
line about him like training pilots or something, but that's
Not a good
that's all
enough
we get.
excuse. That is not a good enough excuse to not go try and save your best friend when they figure out where he's at.
Yeah.
Like, I get, like, you're not trying to save him because you don't know where to go. that's excusable. None of them knew what to do to get to Ezra. Once they figure it out, nobody was like, should we tell Zeb? Like, nobody even had the thought, like, should we maybe get Zeb in on this?
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know. That pissed me off. Was there any other characters from Rebels? I mean,
we got, what, Hera, Sabine, Chopper, Thrawn, Ezra. That was it?
Yeah, I mean, Mon Mothma was there.
Yeah.
But that's not really a Rebels character, but that's still like a previous character. She existed.
We get a Leia name drop, which is cool.
That. Yeah.
I don't know, Andy. Anything about these?
So
their live action debut.
You learn a lot. The fate of Kanan is still a thing for me because I haven't watched.
Fuck, that's right.
two seasons, but I know he's not alive. So that to me was kind of a cool little arc because Kanan was one of my favorite characters on the 2 seasons of Rebels that I watched. I even collected all the Kanan comic books when they came out, if you remember.
I did too.
So it was cool to me to see Hera and I'm assuming Kanan and Hera's son Jason being fairly force sensitive to be able to hear the lightsabers and whatnot. I thought he actually had a pretty cool role to play, albeit small, but he is a younger character. And I also thought it was very cool that when Ezra was trying to replicate his lightsaber again, that was his name Huang? Did I get that right? Hu Yang. I was close. Knew Kanan and taught Kanan how to build his lightsaber and knew exactly what Ezra was looking for because that's how Kanan had built his. So I thought those were really 2 very cool connective tissues that really, really wanted me to go back and watch those last 2 seasons because I feel like you do get to know Kanan's fate in the last 2 seasons, I would guess.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, Andy watching the last 2 seasons of Rebels is a never seen that.
I've told him on numerous occasions. If he gets to those episodes, gets to those seasons, and wants to sit down and talk about it on the show, we could do that. But some people just want to get through it. Like if you're powering through it, you just want to finish it, go for it. But if you want to go through it and talk about it and compare it to what you remember from this show and how you feel about it now, actually having seen those events, we can do that. Open invitation whenever.
Probably wouldn't be opposed to that. So
might give me an excuse to rewatch them, so it's like fresh in my mind too. So we'll see. Anything else from you, Andy?
They're easy watches, if I recall. What, like 18, 20 minutes?
Yeah, they're 20-minute episodes because they're there for commercials and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Some of the finales are longer. They might be pushing 45. Some of them, but
I agree with you both about Chopper. I thought he was excellent. Hera, I thought, did a good job in her role as a general, which is different than what we were used to her being because she got more to do when she wasn't in such a leadership role. So I think that that sort of, I feel like she leaned into that pretty heavily, which gave her less to do, unfortunately. I felt like she should have been a little bit more frontliney fighting stuff. And then one of my favorite actual cameos from Rebels were the Deep Space Whales. I thought they did an excellent job with them.
Oh yeah.
And it was
cool
really, really cool to hear and see. I'm assuming that even the stuff that, this is going to be tough for you guys to answer without giving me spoilers, but I'm assuming the stuff that Sabine talks about with Ezra disappearing the same day, the last time she saw those whales, isn't something that happens on Rebels. It's something that they made up in between the 2.
No
comment.
We can't answer that because it will. If you want the answer, we can give it to you, but it is the finale of Rebels.
Okay. That's all I need to know then.
You'll get the answer one way or the other at the finale of Rebels.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think all the characters that we got were great. Like, I liked seeing all the live action stuff. I thought all the actors and stuff did great. the one that stood out to me was the guy that played Ezra. I thought he fucking nailed Ezra as an adult, as an older version of Ezra. It was pitch perfect for me. Exactly what I expected, exactly what I needed. It was great, and I just want more of him now too with everybody. So I have a bit of a rant for just one thing before we get into maybe one other thing that like I think is
a rant with Star Wars. No,
Yeah.
Is
So-
this my notes, you mean?
There's one big thing that happens midway through the season we didn't even talk about yet, and that's probably where we're going to try to wrap up with this. But I just want to get my quick little rant out of the way. And it's kind of fascinates me that somebody, the leadership of the New Republic thinks this is okay, but in Mandalorian, I think dug into this and showed us a little bit too. But the idea of these ex-Imperials that are folded into the New Republic, it makes perfect sense to be able to keep the galaxy afloat and moving forward. But it seems like the stupidest fucking idea to me that the New Republic seems surprised when ex-Imperials do Imperial shit. I don't understand it. And I guess maybe that's the point, because like so quickly everything goes to shit and turns into the First Order. Like within 20 years, everything goes to shit again, and suddenly the First Order comes out of nowhere that's been secretly gaining all this power and resources and all this shit. Of course, you've hired ex-Imperials to do all your fucking business. Like, I don't...
It mimics reality, man.
The only thing they said was like, oh, they took an oath of loyalty to serve the New Republic. Who's enforcing this shit? Like, what are the recommendations if you go off track? If you just, I'm good. Totally fine. No, we're not fine. It's like the Hail Hydra shit from Captain America. Like, I don't understand, but all right. That's all I got.
It's imitating reality.
Do you remember, what show was it? Was it Andor that had the doctor that was trying to
No, it's Mandalorian, right? Where you got the guy that was an ex-Imperial, or the scientist that was recruited by the New Republic. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Was that Mandalorian, or was that
season? Yeah, that was season 3 of Mandalorian.
And then the one female ex-Imperial, who I'm pretty sure is still an Imperial,
yes,
sort of like sets him up and has him arrested, killed, brain removed or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like it that plays into a bit of your rant. I feel like they do show a bit of what's happening there. So
that was much more of a deeper dive
cool.
than what we get in this show, other than just lines of dialogue of like, oh yeah, they serve the New Republic now. Are you sure? Like,
obviously not.
Right. So anyway, that's all I got. That was it.
What?
All I can tell you is, in today's world, just look at our country. There's still people that fly rebel flags in our nation now.
I get that.
It's just imitating reality, in that people have these allegiances that they hold on to for whatever fucking reason, and they don't give up. And I think it's just showing that can cause issues with a functioning society.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like if I was the winning army, everybody on the losing side is thrown in jail or something, like somehow separate from what you're trying to build in the new regime going forward. Keeping the old
makes sense to me.
I don't know. Keeping the old people, like the old regime, in places of power where they can still influence things.
So you will give no redemption. That's a slippery slope.
Yeah, because see now I'm second guessing myself.
Redemption's a slippery slope though too.
It is,
as is shown.
But you're not setting yourself apart from the thing that you just overturned.
Yeah, because there's some people that just sign up for the paycheck and that kind of thing, or
they don't care who
aren't
they
in
serve.
it for.
There are some of them, but there are going to be some
even
that are
Harry Potter preaches this.
deeply entrenched.
Yeah, and I guess there's no way to weed them out. So fine, I'm losing my argument here, but still, it just seems batshit crazy to me that like people are just like, "Yep, everybody's fine, everything's fine." Just
so something that we didn't bring up yet, that just talking about some of the that your rant actually brought it to my attention. Can we talk about the third Sith thing? The Snake Eyes Sith guy,
the one that Ahsoka kills.
Yes.
The possessed, like, dead body, I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't know. What is he?
I assumed it was Dathomir magic keeping that thing alive, whatever he was.
Okay.
Same.
I thought they were trying to lean into maybe that he was Ezra at some point or another.
Yeah, I think the internet was speculating that, like, it was a
Bef-
resurrected Kanan or something. I thought I saw at some point, and
Yeah.
like shit like that.
So that was you two just assumed it was some sort of like
I didn't. I assumed Inquisitor, and based on just the lightsaber.
right.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't until she sliced him and green smoke came out that I was like, oh no, that guy was just dead the whole time and just reanimated because of witch's magic.
So do we ever get a deep dive into what the Inquisitors are? Or we still need that?
I mean, Rebels
I mean,
gives you a little
for
bit
the
more,
most
I
part.
think.
well, and doesn't the Obi-Wan series give you a bit more into that too?
Oh, yeah.
Where they're mostly just like
Fallen Jedi.
former Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, maybe gray Jedi that turned to the dark side, or
It's like when the Order split and started getting killed off and all these Jedi just ran away for survival, they all started to go bad. And it was really
Yeah,
easy
well,
for
the
the
ones-
Empire to either kill them or pluck them out and make them serve them.
yeah.
So if you were good enough to stay hidden and stay on the run, most of those came out okay, but if you were found, you were either converted or killed. I think that's the gist of it.
That's what I always took it as. And I think maybe it's true for some of them and not all of them. Like, was that true for the Grand Inquisitor? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did we have his backstory? I don't know.
I think it would
Is
be
it in a book?
I think
Maybe.
I think it would be a cool dive for them to do some sort of like origin in that regard of like the first Inquisitor or like that title. What does that title entail? How do you get that?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah, because
like,
I
what do you do?
always thought the old lore was basically Vader was the only remaining dark Jedi, and he was like Sith, killing and hunting down all the remaining Jedi. But it got to a point where like
Right.
every Star Wars story they come up with is like, oh, this Jedi survived the Purge. He's still out there. All right, well now we need something that's not Vader to hunt them because there's too many left alive suddenly, and now
Yeah.
we've got these Inquisitors for them to deal with. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so the big thing we haven't touched on, middle of the season, we get Hayden Christensen back as Anakin Skywalker. And they show up in a place that is familiar to Rebels people, to people that have watched Rebels.
Well,
Andy,
to you and
I have no idea what you've thought about this section of the series. Do you have any idea, like, what is your take on this place that Ahsoka ends up in to talk and interact with Anakin Skywalker?
With the translucent bridge?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. I assumed it to be some sort of like force dream.
Okay.
Or maybe not dream, but your essence goes to this place once you've lost.
Because this
Like
is
a
going to be
lightsaber
very...
battle against another force person.
I
don't
think
know. My
this is...
brain went to a bunch of different places. That was about the centered I could get on what I was trying to figure out there. It was a cool scene. I will say that.
Because this is a very difficult thing for Mike and I to talk about because we don't want to spoil anything for you, because there is a big section of Rebels that goes here.
Takes place.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it goes to this
I
location.
got a little bit of spoiled from somebody at work who knows I hate spoilers and spoil them anyways.
I hate those people.
Well, then tell us what you know.
So what I know is that Ahsoka dies and is in this realm, and somehow Ezra purges her from that realm, and she hasn't aged even though she's a lot older, or something to that effect.
Close, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want
It-
more specifics than that.
I'd rather keep it at like
Okay.
I know a little
do,
bit.
do you want the name of
You're
it?
on the right track.
The name of it may not be much spoiler, but it may give you a better idea.
There is a name
I
for
don't-
this
but-
like realm or this area or this.
I don't remember.
thing.
Was it the title of the Rebels episode? Is that where the name came from, or did they call it this name?
I believe so.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's been so long since I watched.
I think it's
those
the name of the
episodes.
Rebels episode, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's the name that stuck for this place, and that's what everyone refers it to now.
Okay.
So I'm asking if you want to know. Or
Oh, I
not.
thought you were
I'm
just
not-
going to
you know.
tell me.
No,
not
I
We
gonna-
don't want to be
no,
that guy that's
I-
just
it's-
telling you spoilery
it's not
shit.
It's not gonna spoil
Yeah.
anything because I've seen it now in live action, so I know a little bit of what it is, I suppose. So the name of it's not going to spoil anything, I don't think.
Okay.
Right?
Go ahead, Mike.
It's called The World Between Worlds.
Okay. I think I've actually
Um,
seen that somewhere, so
Okay.
like written.
So
Yeah, that may give you insight as to what it really is or isn't.
Okay.
It also is not fully explained as of yet anywhere.
it does what it wants to do. Like whoever is writing or doing an episode that takes place there, it seems like it runs by whatever rules that person wants to do.
Okay, so it's
It
what
why or how it exists is not exactly explained.
what was the name of that room in Hogwarts? The room of requirement or the room of
Yeah, it was the room of requirement.
where you just what you needed in that given moment was sort of, supplied to you.
Yeah.
So
That's how writers are using it. That's not how it functions, but that's how writers are using it.
okay.
So this whole sequence, I don't remember if we talked about anything leading up to this series back when it was like being talked about and we saw some trailers and stuff and teased, but just from the art deco of like the Ahsoka logo and everything that was around the promotion of this show, I just kind of assumed that we were going to end up here at some point. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know what was going to happen once we're in there. But it's using it just as another excuse to put live action Ahsoka and live action Anakin Skywalker together in a scene and have Hayden come back and interact with Rosario. Like, it was great. Everything about, I could watch that episode on repeat over and over again. Visually, I think it's so striking. Seeing Hayden in Anakin Skywalker Clone Wars armor on a battlefield is just like, this is fucking great. And there's a shot that they use twice that every time I see it just gives me a smile and goosebumps at the same time. It's when Anakin is walking through the shadows in the mist and you get the flashes of Vader.
Yep.
It's so perfectly done and it's so fucking striking that I loved every second of it.
So
and there's one the one thing with Anakin too. I'm interpreting this as a version of Anakin that has experienced the entire life of Anakin Skywalker. Only because there's a line where Ahsoka says, "I won't fight you," and he says, "I've heard that before," which is him referencing Luke, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, because that's the way I interpreted that.
I would say that's correct. Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys have to add. I just kind of wanted to gush about that stuff because I that whole episode I think is great. Like seeing all the flashbacks to the Clone Wars stuff, seeing live action Clone Wars happen in something, it was awesome.
So that makes me want to watch more Rebels.
Yeah. I would have loved even just for a moment to get you in there in Obi-Wan's Clone Wars armor as well.
We did get some Rex.
Really cool.
We did get some Rex.
We did get Rex, which I will never not be happy to see Rex.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would have been cool. But I'm chomping at the bit to talk about this. So.
Oh, is that something we haven't covered yet?
This is about the ending of the show.
Okay. Oh, okay. Andy, you got anything else to chime in for this? And then we'll get to Mike's thing.
I did have a question, and I lost it. So I might remember it again. But.
Okay. All right, Mike, what do you got? We'll try to wrap up with sort of this thing.
So for a lot of this, I felt like the series may have been somewhat insignificant in the grander scheme of Star Wars, in that we already know that obviously maybe Thrawn plays a part possibly in the formation of the First Order, maybe he doesn't, but it all seemed fairly inconsequential because we do know what comes of it eventually. We have seen the aftermath. So I was very happy when one of the last scene, is it the last scene we get with Balin standing on the statue?
It's the last thing we get with him. Yes.
Last thing we get with him, but it's not the last image we get in the series. So the last thing we get with Balin really brings a lot of, in my mind, I don't know that this is canon yet. I believe they're leading to it being canon. In other words, I believe this is where it's headed. work with me on this. But I believe it brings almost all of Star Wars together. Even the prophecy about Anakin, in that we have Balin standing on a statue, which is standing next to a statue, which is has another statue on the side of it that is missing its head. This is the father, the son, and the daughter, which are referenced in Clone Wars Season 3 when Ahsoka is brought back to life by the daughter sacrificing her own life to bring her back to life. And in that moment, there's a transfer also between Anakin and the father. And in that moment, that transfer, perhaps, Anakin becomes the father as much as Ahsoka becomes the daughter. And the son is left as the son, but is not resolved, and perhaps Balin is meant to become the son. This is additionally reinforced because as Balin is standing on the statue is pointing off to a structure in the distance, a tower, if you will, that is the same tower which all this occurs in the Clone Wars. This is where Anakin goes to find this information.
See, I missed
can look
that.
It up. You can look it up frame for frame. Like, it is the same tower gleaming in the same place from that whole arc in the Clone
You were able
Wars
to see some sort of
that
structure
Anakin
there?
goes to.
All I saw was the gleaming.
It's at the top of a tower. Like, the gleaming is at... If you look at it again, there's a tower there. Like, it's...
This is how much of a fan I missed the Easter eggs. It's like, when I first saw that statue, when I first watched it, I was like, shit, this looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. Didn't even put it together that it was the father, son, and daughter until, like, I rewatched it again. It was like, oh, shit! Oh! I did, the Leo DiCaprio meme where it's just, whoa, I found it. That's what it is.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't get that the first viewing.
Anakin becoming the father and his actions now in the world between worlds is him actually bringing balance to the Force. It's his efforts after death that will allow Anakin to bring balance to the Force, as opposed to his actions during life. And we will, I believe, get more of that in the future. In that, I guess, in the Star Wars universe, I don't want to call it current, but in what we may call current times of Star Wars, as you will, like post Rise of Skywalker.
So
We have...
let me just ask, why do you think Balin's going for the son? Like, what?
He's going to become the
right,
son.
but what in the show makes you think that, I guess, other than where he's standing?
He is searching for it. He is looking for it. The sun is unaccounted for, and the sun is the representation of the dark side.
Looking for it. What's it?
The answers that tower may have. He's looking, like he was looking for the origins of the Force, right? And the father was meant to be the balance between the Force. The daughter was meant to represent the light side. The son was meant to represent the dark side. And the mother was not a Force-sensitive being that became some kind of monster once things happened, but that I don't feel like has as much weight here as Anakin serving as this overarching father of what is balance. Ahsoka representing the daughter, which is the true good of the light, which isn't the Jedi, it is the true good of the light side of the Force. And the son representing the dark side.
I guess the hang up for me,
and searching for it, possibly becoming the son. I don't know about that part. I think is
I feel like there's a lot of extrapolating going
theory.
on there. The hardest hiccup for me, I feel like, is I could see him looking for the origins of the Force. Nothing about what he's done in the show leads me to believe, yes, I want to inhabit the sun. I want to choose to be that dark side person.
I don't think he knows. Like, I think he knows bits and pieces. I don't think he knows what we assume Anakin and Ahsoka know of everything.
Oh, I don't know.
He's as informed as they are. He knows where to look and that there is answers about the origin, but I don't think he knows the full story.
His
of the father,
character
the
is
son,
so
and the daughter.
ambiguous that I don't even see him being a dark side character at all.
I mean, he has a red saber.
Right, for now, but I don't see him ending up there. There's even a point
don't
when
you have to torture and kill to turn the crystal red to have a red saber? Don't you have to like have the evil within you?
we've seen other people come back from the dark side too. I feel like we've
Sure.
when they land on the planet and the Dathomir witches sense a Jedi, I don't think that's Sabine.
Well, no. But what I'm saying is like that representation of the dark side is not necessarily a representation of evil either. Like the sun is not necessarily a representation of evil. That meant like
Well, then maybe that's the hurdle
dark
for me that
side
I can't get
itself
over.
is not necessarily evil. It's the people that use it that are evil.
Okay.
In other words, like the dark side is not necessarily evil in its nature. It draws out in people. Like, does this make sense what I'm saying? Like, think about the way Dooku talks about the dark side. Think about what a lot of like gray Jedi have said about the dark side, in that it's not necessarily the power itself that's evil. It's that immense power corrupts the people and makes them do evil things. And Anakin's presence as the father, bringing balance between the two, would actually bring balance to the Force between the daughter and the son. And it would take someone perhaps like Balin to inhabit that representation of the son, who isn't evil but does desire the dark
I guess
side.
I can follow the logic. It just, I don't know. There's still, I don't know. I can't make that leap, I guess, maybe. Like I see where
Maybe
you're
not to
going,
Balin
I
being the
understand
son.
it, but I don't know.
I think there's very obvious imagery they give you for Anakin being the father and Ahsoka being the daughter, because the daughter gives up her life essence to revive Ahsoka
Right.
from
I mean, you
death.
see Morai at the end of the episode too.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like there is obvious threads for those two. And the thing about Balin, I think, yes, is a jump on my part in logic, in reasoning. But seeing where they're going, I'm very interested for that very reason as to what Balin does when he finds.
Well, Balin's the obvious wild card. I feel like if Balin goes and does something different, then your theory kind of falls apart. Because you need the balance there for that to work, right? So if he doesn't
Somebody
go on
else
the
could
other side,
inhabit that balance. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be him. I just assume it's him because he's headed there. He's the only candidate we would currently have. You know what I mean? Like,
see, I will agree with you that he's looking for maybe the origins of the Force, but I guess.
I don't think he's going to willingly inhabit the sun. I don't think anybody that currently, like, I'm in this theory that I have here, it's not like Anakin willingly inhabited the father. It's not like Ahsoka willingly inhabited the daughter. They just did. The Force chose them.
Okay.
The powers that be in the universe that are the Force, midichlorians or not, chose them to be that inhabitant of that being.
Yeah. I don't know, Andy. You're being
And
awfully
he
quiet.
may
You got
be
anything for this
chosen.
one?
What he's saying actually it does make sense to me, and it would fit as puzzle pieces. I just don't know if it's a good theory, and it could be correct, but I don't know if it will be correct.
I don't think they'll ever explicitly say it.
No, they won't.
It will be represented in imagery and left up to your interpretation.
But I
because they haven't in live action ever bothered to explain, that Force origin family. And trying to do so, I feel like that will break this doesn't break the common audience. Like Ahsoka. Yeah, they're disconnected a little bit, but it doesn't break them. If you try and explain away this bit of the origins of the Force that way, fully, I think that may break the minds of the people watching it to where they hate Star Wars.
It'll be real interesting when this Origin of the Force movie comes out and it's just a family drama between this family.
I mean, they might. I mean, they might want to do what I said and verbally bring about the idea that Anakin actually did bring balance to the Force. And maybe that's Ahsoka's revelation at the end of all of this, is that he did. And that's a real way to close out the Skywalker saga that is way better than what we got.
Well, I love the line too that he gives her of like, the conversation they have of like, he trained her and everything that was in his masters came to her, but she's worried that everything was in him, Vader and all, came to her. And he's trying to tell you that, that's not all I am. That's maybe what I'm remembered for, but that's not everything that I was. Like, you get the good and the bad, not just the bad. Like, that whole conversation was great.
Mm-hmm. I don't, that's my whole spiel on that. I don't have anything more to add. You can make your own mind up about it. We'll see in the future if it ever comes to light, whenever we find out maybe when we're going to get more.
Yeah, hopefully we get a
stuff.
season 2 and get some answers. Andy, you got anything else for either this topic or anything else that we did or didn't touch on?
I had a question at one point, and I can't remember what the crap we were talking about at the time, but I can't remember that question anymore, so nope.
Well, shit. Put it in the comments when the episode's up.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, I went off the deep end there into like a deep dive that
I'd expect nothing less from you. Let's be honest.
I know. It's what I do.
Do we want to end this with a rating for season 1? Like, do we want to give it a 10 out, something out of 10?
A 10. We could give it a 10 out of something.
It's got to go the other way. Something out of 10.
Well, no, I mean we inverse the ratings. Like, we choose that it's getting a 10. But what's the other number? Are we giving it a 10 out of 10? Are we giving it a 10 out of 12? I don't know. It's a new way of rating things.
No, I've just made this more confusing. something out of 10, and it's got to be a number between 0 and 10 out of 10. Because I don't want to put you guys in, say I'm going to put an apple out of 10. No, that doesn't work. It's number based.
It's 10 out of 5.
No, damn it, Andy.
That's like 2 times a perfect score. That's pretty good.
I mean, we don't have to. I don't know if how many
I'll
of these
give it
series
an
we actually rate, but
8.5.
8.5 out of Mike.
I don't know if I can really give it. It's difficult for me because I feel like there are other Star Wars shows that I liked better than it, and other Star Wars shows that I liked less.
I wonder if we should give this. If we should give let Andy rate it before watching Rebels, and then come again and rate it after watching Rebels.
So I really did like this, but for reference, I've liked The Mandalorian better, and I've liked Andor better. Book of Boba Fett, I feel like, was kind of on par, and Obi-Wan being my least favorite. Maybe a 7.5.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going 9 out of 10, and I don't remember what I rated any of the other shows. Andor, I think,
I don't know
still.
that we did ratings.
Yeah, I don't remember what we rated and what we didn't, to be honest. TV shows, I don't feel like we normally rate, but fuck it, we threw it in there anyway.
Did it this time.
Yeah. Mandalorian is still up there for me.
I feel like that's a gold standard for just any show.
Yeah.
Right?
Andor might still be like top tier for me, I think, for Star Wars, because it did enough that it felt different, it felt gritty, it felt real, it like lived in a world that's, I don't know, it was enough that it did different stuff for Star Wars that is like, that's the kind of stuff I want to see going forward.
Right.
This got me into new Star Wars stuff again, and not just revisiting old stuff, and it played with the Rebels nostalgia, sure, but it still took me to new places and tried different things, so I respect it. I like the characters enough, and again, just having more of the Rebels people is a lot for me. That helps. The fact that it didn't end still kind of irks me, and I'm hoping we just get season 2 before this, whatever this movie is. I think that would help me out a lot, instead of going straight into a movie where all this stuff is still out and about. Like, if we go to a 2-hour movie, we're not going to get justice for Balin's story at all. He's going to be shoved aside for everything else that's going on. We need season 2 before we get a movie. So, but I still liked it a lot. I will definitely rewatch this. I think it's excellent. And I think I will probably pick up more on a rewatch when I do this again. But yeah, so I'm going 9. All right. Anything else? Or we'll close it down. I think we've probably talked enough. We're looking at 2.5 hours ish probably for this. So that's a lot.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
That's plenty.
All right, so if you've enjoyed the show, please support us. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Give us a share on social media. You can follow or subscribe to the show to keep up with us. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Amazon. For anyone that's on Stitcher, it doesn't work anymore, so get out of there. You probably can't even. I don't even check the website to see if it's still up. I don't think it's up anymore, but Stitcher went down. Like they're done with Stitcher.
Oh, really?
We were on Stitcher. Stitcher is no longer a thing. I got the email that they were taking it down. I thought I heard Josh reference it in the Halloween one that Stitcher is no longer a thing. But I did.
I tried doing your spiel, and he's like, "Oh no, not Stitcher."
Yeah,
Like,
I did.
"All
I did
right."
get the email like that we're no longer on there because it's going down.
Is Stitcher owned by something else?
I don't know. I didn't look into the specifics. I just know that it's not there anymore to get your podcast from. So
Oh, okay.
I don't think anybody really listened to us there anyway. But it was an option. I feel like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon are the way to go. Anybody's probably listened to us on there, so it works. Those are still available. All good. You can find us on Facebook. Search Bry Guy and Super Friends. Go to facebook.com/Bry Guy Super Friends. I haven't posted a lot of stuff on there really recently at all because I haven't been using Facebook much. But I will try to put this episode up once it's up there. Try to get back to posting at least articles and shit there. You can send us emails, questions, comments, topic suggestions, any of that stuff. bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com. I don't check it, but it's there. Hit us up on X now at BG Superfriends. I haven't really been on that side either, so I don't check a lot of that. A lot of these links are really worthless now, so you have to find us other places. Twitch is probably the best place to get me because at least I'm still active on there. So you can follow me on Twitch, Jedi Bry Guy. As I said, I'll probably be starting to stream Spider-Man 2. We'll see how long it takes me to get through there. There's probably be a couple of odds for that out there already. And that's it for us. On behalf of Andy, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.